All right, we are live on the craziest Wednesday of the NFL offseason so far for the Philadelphia Eagles. Thomas, Mott, Josh Davis, the Philly Special Show, our Wednesday link live for this right now, Josh. It's about as good as it comes in terms of live shows. Perfect timing, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah, talk about perfect timing. I thought it couldn't get any crazier, and then all of a sudden it's like the Fletch news breaks, and it's just been nuts. So I just waiting because sure enough, we're gonna get some other breaking news. So hopefully we can break that down. But it's been insane. I mean, I thought Darius Slay would be the big headline, and now we've got Fletcher Cox to talk about with James Bradberry for yesterday. The past week's been nuts.
I just can't believe that they got Fletcher Cox and now apparently could re-sign Darius Slay. I mean, this is insane. And if for those of you just joining us, we'll catch you up. Most of you, if you're live right now joining us, and we'll reset the deck in a second, they have re-signed Fletcher Cox to a 1-year, $10 million deal. We do not know the details of that contract. Is it fully guaranteed at $10 million? Is it going to be 6 plus 4 in incentives? We don't know, but they have brought back Fletcher Cox. The report coming out from multiple NFL insiders 30 minutes ago. And I know you saw this too, Josh, but the Jets offered him more money. The Jets were trying to lock him down on a 1-year deal. And yet again, we see an Eagles veteran, this time Brandon Graham, James Bradberry, and now Fletcher Cox take less money to stay with the Eagles. Josh, I thought the Eagles were going to lose everybody and stink this year. It makes no sense.
I know that's what we were told, right? We were told that, hey, Eagles don't have any money, get expected for a complete defensive overhaul, which, yeah, we've lost some,
Yeah.
but we've got a lot of big players and big names back. So I'm excited. I've loved seeing all this news. I am still, obviously, as probably most of us are, anxiously awaiting to see, do we actually not lose Slay? What's the curious thing there? And CJ Gardner-Johnson has continued to be, but like I mentioned on my show yesterday, no news is good news. So
Yes.
the fact that we haven't heard anything has got to seem to be that, Howie's trying to figure out what he can do to make this thing happen. So I am thrilled with what's happened so far. I was definitely surprised by the Cox news here. And honestly, I mean, my opinion here is that Brandon Graham had everything to do with it. We know that they're really close. I mean, if you watch the games, if you watch mic'd up sessions, them being together, hanging out a lot, BG took a pay cut and he had a phenomenal year. So I could almost guarantee you that he's saying, hey, Fletch, come on, let's run this thing back. So I'm ecstatic.
This is the Jalen Hurts effect. I mean, very clearly, James Bradberry said it first. I want to run it back. I think this team can run it back, and Jalen Hurts is a big factor in that. Anyone in the comments section, of course, we're going to read all of your comments. We're going to answer a lot of your questions here. Also got a really cool giveaway coming up in just a couple of minutes. Although people who are saying Cox coming back is bad, there were only 5 other defensive tackles in the entire National Football last year with more sacks. Now, it's defensive tackle. You get 5-6 sacks is still great, but think about the mentorship for Jordan Davis. Another year under Fletcher Cox to learn, to take over. This defense, especially if they bring back, CJ Gardner-Johnson, which I think we're going to get at any moment now, in my opinion, this defense is going to be pretty darn good. It's going to be at least close enough to as good as it was this past season, but at maybe even a little bit better. Let's go CJ Gardner-Johnson first, and then the Slay stuff for people who don't understand what's going on with Darius Slay. You mentioned it there. We'll stay short on CJ and then go over to Slay. The fact we haven't heard about CJ Gardner-Johnson, and this is day 3 of NFL free agency, is very good news for Philadelphia. And I don't know if you've seen some of the other safety deals that are happening. The Chiefs safety, Thornhill, just got a 2-year, $14 million a year deal. Like it's a cheaper market. And I think CJ Gardner-Johnson went out to the market. He saw that there isn't much more in terms of money. If it's $1 million more than what Philadelphia can offer, he's probably going to come back to Philadelphia. I'm surprised it's taking this long, but I do think Philly has a very real chance at CJ Gardner-Johnson.
I do too. I agree. Again, the fact it's taking this long is good. I am surprised that it took this long, but like you mentioned, I mean, Jordan Poyer, Jesse Bates, Von Bell, like all the safety deals that we've seen, quite honestly, have been either at projected value or below. And so I think we were thinking, well, there's a possibility that the safety market gets reset. And if that happened, then yeah, CJ Gardner-Johnson's obviously gone. But again, nothing's happened so far. And if you also read into the Fletcher Cox news here, yes, I get the whole argument of, okay, was it too much? Also the argument of, hey, I'm thrilled that he's going to be back. I'm more so on the side of thrilled that he's going to be back. But look into the fact that Howie's willing to pay $10 million a year for Fletch. That's a good sign that he's got something in the back pocket for CJ Gardner-Johnson. Don't think that he's like, oh yeah, I can just blow this $10 million when I could have used it to keep CJ. So I think that we're in for a signing of CJ Gardner-Johnson. We're waiting, obviously, for that breaking news to happen, and we all be just through the roof and over the moon about it. But I think it's a really positive sign about CJ.
I'm like 95% sure he's going to come back. I mean, it would take a monumental offer from another football team in terms of maybe $3 or $4 million more a year for him not to come back to Philadelphia at this point. Obviously, we're going to be checking Twitter throughout the live show tonight. If it happens, drop a comment down below. Be sure to thumbs up the live stream as well, because more thumbs up, the more people who are going to see it. Let's go over here to the James Bradberry situation, if I can figure out how to get us both on the screen. There we go. Okay, sorry, I meant Darius Slay. So Darius Slay, of course, was released today. I did a show on it, broke it all down, and basically the whole idea was you designate him for a post-June 1st cut. You're going to save $17 million in cap space, which is honestly a lot. And honestly, trying to resign CJ Gardner-Johnson, you need that money. And so, while it was a bummer, I wanted to bring him back, despite what a lot of people in my comments said about him being washed and this and that. I think that it was still the right move. However, this has happened over the past, I don't know, Josh, 30 minutes, Bleeding Green Nation with the article. Darius Slay leaves the door open upon potential return. And it all starts with Twitter. And this is nuts. So he's replying to a tweet here, and he says, might be back, LOL, never know. And then Darius Slay threw the eye emojis. Whenever you see the eye emojis, something crazy is happening. And then this, to me, is the big indication right here. His wife, Jennifer Slay, very active on Twitter, big-time Eagle fan. She did the eye emojis as well. This is 5:25 Eastern Time, 6:03 Eastern Time, 5:17 p.m. Eastern Time. This is recent. And so, like a lot of people pointed out to me in my comment section, and a lot of people on Twitter, I'm sure you saw as well, it's the Fletcher Cox all over again from last year. They couldn't afford Fletcher Cox's current contract. They cut him. Cox went out to the market, realized there wasn't much there for him, and so he came back on a quote-unquote cheaper deal, and I think something very similar could happen with Darius Slay.
Yep. And I think you're right. Obviously, he says, hey, wait a second, it could change. I could be back. It will be interesting to see, though, because I think that Marlon Humphrey had tweeted right about the same time. So I know that Slay has ties to Humphrey. Denard Wilson obviously just went to Baltimore. So they're, not to be too pessimistic here, but I'm just trying to be a little bit realistic. If there's a chance that he does not, and maybe he's giving the eye emoji, the whole like charades and context of like what's going on when we post these emojis. I'd love if we could get a little bit more context. So something is breaking, but you don't know. Maybe it's Baltimore, but maybe it's still Philly, because Slay, like you showed there in the tweet, did say, you never know, I may be back. So it could be a good sign. And it is interesting the fact that we got the breaking news of the chance or the potential the Eagles were going to release Slay, but then you saw the Cowboys release Ezekiel Elliott, like the news had mentioned, but then there's actually no official, hey, the Eagles did release Slay. So that kind of backtrack that now and say, well, maybe so. Maybe Slay is going to stay.
I was just about to mention that. There's a tweet here from D.I. Bird's blog saying, it's interesting that Darius hasn't been officially released yet. I wonder if a team called and made them a last-second offer so Slay wouldn't hit the open market. That's something I didn't think about. You mentioned it. They haven't officially released him. You got to put that paperwork into the league offices. That makes it official. And really, if you're just on Twitter, you follow the Eagles' official Twitter account, they make it officially official. That's how you know. When the Eagles Twitter account does it, then it's been sorted through the league paperwork and all that jazz. So either they're going to bring him back and restructure him, which I guess is still on the table, or they're going to actually have a trade offer for him. Although I'll push back on the trade offer. I don't know the exact money here, but it does seem like if it's a pre-June 1st trade, they're going to eat a lot more dead cap money than if it's a post-June 1st cut. The whole June 1st stuff is very confusing for a lot of people, but if it's pre-June 1st, that means they're going to eat more dead money unless a team takes on the dead money contract. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. It's very interesting right now. Things are developing.
Definitely. Yes. And by the way, just to mention this real quick, guys, we got 234 in the live chat. We got 15 likes, I think, as the last time I checked. I'm
gotta like it
behind, but go and like it, please. It's going to get the algorithm boosted up. So make sure to go do that. But I mean, I'm with you. Yes. As far as where the trade is right now, or the potential of a trade, I think the last time I was looking, it was like $3 million if you trade before June 1st that you're saving versus $8 million if it's post June 1st. But really, and I did a show about this, it doesn't make sense for teams to trade post June 1st, because that's after the draft. That's after signing potential free agents. You're kind of like scrapping and grasping for straws at that point. You either want to make a trade now or say, yeah, you know what, we'll figure out something else. So I don't think a trade will be likely unless they were to do something and maybe keep some of the money. But at this point, especially the guys that the Eagles have signed, I don't think that Howie's looking at it saying, yeah, you know what, we could pay most of the salary and just trade him and maybe get a draft pick. Plus, you also could bring up the fact that Jalen Ramsey didn't really fetch a high price when it comes to draft picks. So I don't know that Howie's just saying, yeah, let's trade him. I think it's either, hey, we're going to release, or he's going to bring him back, figure out a way to do that.
Shout out to Philly Talk Podcast. Philly Mike is in the house right now. He's listening to the show, of course. Always check out his channel as well. Big fan of him. I will say this. there is no way they can afford Darius Slay and CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? Like, I don't know how he's getting the money that he's found. I mean, for Fletcher
Under
Cox
the
at $10
mattress,
million,
he's found it
right? I mean,
somewhere.
and they haven't restructured anybody officially yet, which is how we thought they were going to create the money. And so I would be surprised if they can do both. My guess would be it'll either be a trade, like you just mentioned, of Darius Slay and then a signing of CJ Gardner-Johnson, or they're going to lose Gardner-Johnson and keep Slay. It feels like it's one or the other. It really does. There's no way they can afford two unless Jalen Hurts wants to take Lamar Jackson's $32 million a year unrestricted free agent tag money. There's just no way, right? I'm not a cap expert, and cap is so weird because it's like, oh, they only have $5 million in cap space right now, Josh, but they just paid Fletcher Cox $10 million. How does that work? I don't know, but I do know they don't have enough to get everybody.
Exactly, yes. And I don't know if this is official, I saw a rumor on Twitter says apparently they're under the cap, or they figured out a way to be under the cap. So for what that's worth, yeah, I'm with you. It's a lost art completely to me. I just trust that Howie's going to get something done. But yeah, the numbers don't seem to add up. You really can't keep both. I can't remember who saw it first on Twitter, but you're saying basically out of the big four names, you're really trying to just keep three, or out of the big three names, you're trying to keep two of the three. So the fact that we already have James Bradberry, and we'll get into that in a second, that's a phenomenal discount, very team-friendly deal. But now you're looking at, is it either going to be Slay or is it going to be CJ Gardner-Johnson? I'm in favor, if you got to pick between one, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yes.
I don't know if there's many people thinking let's keep Slay over CJ Gardner-Johnson. To me, I think that's crazy. But the fact that we're even sitting here talking about, like you opened the show with, where did the Eagles get the money from? We were supposed to lose everybody. We weren't supposed to retain anyone. And yet here we are having a phenomenal free agency period. So, I mean, heck yeah, give Howie a big thumbs up. And he's really the magician that we thought he was. But this is way better and has blown my mind, just the expectations that I had as far as what we could do in free agency.
We have a signing alert. This is not for Philadelphia. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but Rappaport is reporting the Saints and former Lions running back Jamal Williams have agreed on a 3-year deal. It's $8 million guaranteed, $12 million for 3 years. So Jamal Williams in the open market, 17 rushing touchdowns. He gets $4 million a year, which is
that's a steal.
Cheap, very cheap. I would have liked that in Philly. We'll talk about Rashard Penny in a little bit, but that's a pretty good overall, I'd say, price if you were talking about the Saints getting Jamal Williams. But let me say this about Slay. I had said before, I think you did too, we want him to come back. He's a good cornerback. And I know a lot of people in the comment section think that he was washed the second half of this year. There's an argument that no one threw to his side for a very long time, and then they started working on him towards the latter part of the season. I understand he's 32 years old, but he was voted a captain last year. That's a big deal. You're voted on by your teammates, and his teammates thought he was good enough and a leader enough to be a captain, hence why I'm fine with him coming back. But I'm going to be honest with you. With that being said, let me just flip the script and say, we got James Bradberry, the number 10 overall pick. I was totally fine today when they released Darius Slay, because I said, oh, wait, we're going to get James Bradberry, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Christian Gonzalez at 10. I mean, I'm fine with that. I like it better, in my opinion. And so I'm not going to cry if he comes back, but I'm not going to cry if he leaves, because 10 is sitting right there in the draft, which we'll talk about more in a second. And you could just draft a number one corner, and there's 3 really, really good ones, and move right forward with that, because you already have Bradberry on the other side. So Philly's in a win-win situation. Very much
Definitely.
So.
Yes. Yeah. We never, again, like we've said many times, like we never thought we'd be in this spot. So right now, I mean, it's nothing. You're playing with house money essentially, or Howie's money, I guess, if you want to do a play on words. But like the fact that, and you mentioned with Slay, I saw this Pro Football Focus. Sometimes I could trust it. Sometimes it's the numbers are a little bit skewed, so you can make stats tell whatever story you want. But if you look at just the passer rating for the first 6 weeks of the season, Brandon Lee Gouton is the one who tweeted this, but Slay allowed a 31.8 passer rating. But then from week 7 to the Super Bowl, 114.1. So I know we made the comment of, dipping off towards the end of the season, didn't finish the season off very well. Obviously, the Super Bowl was what it was. But yeah, you're getting the better of the two cornerbacks. And in my opinion, the longevity, what he brings to the table, the argument is still there, obviously, for the captain's spot. And I think that Slay did more than probably anyone would give him credit for in terms of just being a captain and a leader on this team. I've heard stories of him, rallying up the group of guys and go watch Devon Allen's events or something like that. But just the camaraderie and building that team spirit, that might be a piece that you lose, but you've still got all the big names. I mean, you've got BG who's coming back. You got Fletch, you got Jason Kelsey. I mean, Jalen Hurt. This team, the chemistry, the core of the group and the unit is going to be perfectly fine, even if Slay moves on. Now, hopefully he doesn't, if you can't do something with CJ Gardner-Johnson. But again, it comes back to, you probably can only pick one of the two. And 10 times out of 10, I'm saying, let's take CJ.
I totally agree. We have another tweet. That's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at Twitter, trying to get caught up here. This is from 49ers NFL News 24/7. It's a very popular 49ers Twitter handle. It's not Adam Schefter, but it's pretty official. This is 30 minutes ago. Quote, San Francisco made a call per source. I was just told the San Francisco 49ers are one of the teams who have reached out to Darius Slay's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and his team. There are at least 5 teams calling about Darius Slay. That's the latest report there. So that would tell you a trade could still be in play right now if you have 5 teams calling for Darius Slay. And again, this makes more sense because you don't want him to hit the open market if you wanted to sign him as another team. And so you trade for him now. Like you said, it can't be more than a 3rd-round draft pick, probably a 4th or a 5th. And that way you guarantee to take him and then can restructure his contract. So we'll see about that. Okay, Sydney family leads me into something that we're very excited about. I appreciate the super chat, but there's more here, Sydney. So he says, get all 3 back and get a defensive line and cornerback 1st round. Obviously, if you can get all 3 back, that sounds great. I think we all focus on CJ Gardner-Johnson first. I would be shocked if they go anywhere but cornerback or defensive line in the 1st round with those 2 draft picks. For sure, number 10 overall will be a cornerback or a defensive lineman. If Carter falls, we'll talk about his very underwhelming pro day today. Apparently, I don't know if you saw that, Josh. He's very much underweight or overweight. He couldn't finish drills. He's going to drop in the NFL draft big time. A report saying he will fall to at least 9. Carter will still be an option if he gets his head on straight, because there seems to be some issues out there. And then, of course, at cornerback as well, being at number 10. But this leads me into something that Josh and I wanted to do for all of our super chatters out there, because people super chat every single show, which is just crazy to both of us. You guys would super chat to our live show. And so we're doing this for you guys. This is crazy. We are going to give away 1 2023 1st-round draft picks jersey. So you remember right after the NFL draft, there's always, the pick and then Roger Goodell holding up the number 1 and the brand new Eagle at number 10. We're going to give away that jersey from NFLshop.com or Fanatics to some lucky super chatter between now and the NFL draft. So how this works is the Wednesday live link is every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Every person that donates or does a super chat during one of our live shows between now and night 1 of the NFL draft, which we will be live for, is going to be entered into essentially a giant giveaway where we select one person and they will be given, and we'll send you guys a jersey. I didn't say that very well, but we can go down into a little bit more depth. Only thing you have to do, again, drop a super chat. So City Family just did. He's entered in. Subscribe to both myself and Josh's channels. Josh's channel's linked down below. And every time someone super chats, Josh is going to track it on his computer, and then we're going to have a giant master sheet of super chat people who are going to have a chance to win a jersey. And as Josh and I said, you can donate basically as many times as you want. So $2 is 2 entries. So every dollar you go ahead and super chat, you're going to get an entry in to win whoever the number 10 overall draft picks is, his jersey from NFLshop.com. We'll send it to you. Did I miss something, Josh? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
That's it.
There.
Yep. We got Sydney family down there for 2 entries.
There you go, 2 entries. So between now and night 1 of the NFL draft, we're going to announce it on night 1 of the NFL draft. Whoever it is, after the pick, we're going to do a random drawing of all the people that have super chatted, and we'll go ahead and pick one of you to get the jersey whenever it comes out on NFLshop.com. So go ahead and jump in on that every single Wednesday. We appreciate the super chats. You just want just $1 donates, and that gets you right into this whole giveaway. And we're going to have more prizes too, by the way, something that we're hanging on to till next week. So every single show is probably going to have prizes as well. About that. Very excited about that stuff going on. So again, super chat, that's how you get in on a chance to win whoever the 1st-round draft picks jersey is, whether it's Jalen Carter or Christian Gonzalez or anybody else. Let us know who you think it's going to be and get your super chats in as well. City Family's the first, though. He's got two whatever you call them, entries is the right word there. All right, speaking of people chatting, let's go to the chat because there's a lot of people chatting right now. A lot of people watching. Be sure to thumbs up. I think we're at 100 likes right now. Let's see. Are we at 100? 95. We're at 95. Yeah. So we got 300 people watching, 350 people watching. Be sure to give the show a
like
thumbs
it real
up.
Quick.
There you go. We're at 97. All right. Jalen Carter had a bad pro day. Could he drop even more? Yes, 100%. If you didn't see this, Jalen Carter, the star defensive lineman out of Georgia, I've said before, maybe the best entire player in this draft. Not only does he have the legal issues right now, which seems like it's going to be okay. I mean, again, that's all who knows in terms of that sort of thing. But obviously didn't compete at the combine, did do drills at Georgia's pro day yesterday, and apparently was 9 pounds overweight and couldn't finish the drills. And I think it was just due to being too winded. Josh, his draft stock has got to be plummeting right now.
Yeah. It was terrible. If you didn't see it, go look it up on YouTube, go look it up on Twitter. You can very easily find the video of his drills. But I'm sorry, this is not a guy who looked like a number 1 draft pick. You can make the argument of, hey, these are drills. That's what they are. They're not on the field, but he did not look like in football shape. And sure, he's got plenty of time, but obviously every other or just about every other top prospect, if you see, especially when you sign up for your pro day, your goal is to look as much in shape and as promising as you can. And he did just the opposite. So, I mean, I've seen reports out there. This is a stretch in my opinion, but I've seen reports saying that he's flirting to be outside the top 25. Now, I would be shocked if he went that far, but you got the issues off the field, like you mentioned. Now you've got an issue of possibly a weight concern. Is he even seriously committed? Does he just think like, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm going to get drafted as number 1, 2, 3? So I don't know. There's a lot of other options in the draft too, where I'd be considering now, like, hey, at 10, question is, I mean, Thomas, if I'm asking you, and the Eagles are at 10, Jalen Carter falls to you 10 as of today, do you draft him?
I mean, based on my knowledge of never meeting the guy and not sitting in a pre-draft interview, I would say no. Based on today, you do say no. But if you can do all the research, and we've said this before many times, I mean, the NFL teams send spies into these places to figure out, what's your family like? What's your friends like? Where do you like to hang out on the weekends? So I trust Howie to do the right thing. But right now, Jalen Carter is definitely slipping, I would say, in some draft boards. But 10's a long way down, which we'll talk more draft here with more draft questions in a second. But 10 is a long way for him to get there. And the Bears now sitting, at 9 because of the trade with the Carolina Panthers could be a very real possibility for them as well. Okay, back to, we just had some more super chats. So some more entries into our first round draft pick jersey giveaway. Each dollar you donate will be one entry in to our draft night 1 selection, where we'll send you one of these jerseys. Andrea Ford, 5 entries for her. Hey guys, love your channel. Andrea Ford. Hey guys, love your channel. The content. Just logged in. Any word on CJ Gardner-Johnson? Andrea might not even know she just entered herself for 5 chances to win. So first off, thank you for that, Andrea. No word yet, and we're shocked by this. I do not understand how we cannot have any sort of news yet on CJ Gardner-Johnson. It's day 3. And they always say the good players go by day 1. And if you're waiting until Wednesday to possibly be signed somewhere, you've probably lost some money. And so I think CJ Gardner-Johnson and the rest of the safety market was not as robust as we all thought it would be, which is great news for Philadelphia. The expectation is between Josh and myself, Andreas, that he's going to come back, but it's just weird. We still have not heard anything yet. Canic Shep, make sure you're subscribed to both channels, but you have a $5 entered in 5 times for a chance to get the jersey on draft night. Being that Howie works in the trenches, think he will draft a defensive lineman despite Fletcher re-signing? Yes, I do think there's still a very good chance that he could be drafted or drafting a defensive lineman. I mean, We've seen Philadelphia do this time and time again. You think they don't need an offensive lineman, they take one. You don't think that they need a defensive lineman, they still take one. Did anyone think they needed Jordan Davis last year at 13? No, we were all saying Kyle Hamilton, safety. And it wasn't a safety. And yet it turns out, because they are going to lose Javon Hargrave, pretty good move to take on and get Jordan Davis there.
Yes. Yep. I agree. You can never count out any of the trenches. That's what we know. That's how he's bread and butter. So like you mentioned there, if it's Jalen Carter or if it's any others, but I'm with you. You mentioned Jalen Carter a second ago. I don't think you take him at the current present moment. What's been seen, we've obviously got time between now and the draft, but I don't think that's someone that you take, but it wouldn't surprise me all the other names that we've mentioned. If maybe even perhaps the Eagles were to consider trading up, that would be, a little bit more unlikely, I think. But if you've got a name like I think Tyree Wilson is going to be rocketing up the board. But if you got a name something like that, I could see maybe jumping up, getting a deal done. But I keep on saying it. I don't know that he can be available at 30, but to me, Kalijah Kancey is the home run. I will continue screaming that, and I could be dead wrong. He could be awful, but I think he's going to be fantastic. So that would be, if you're going to get a defensive lineman, that's who I'm in favor of.
5 more or 5 subs or 5 entries here for XX Snow Papa XX into our first round draft pick jersey giveaway. All you do is drop a super chat and be subscribed. Myself and Josh Davis. He says, if we keep CJ and Bradberry at any first round cornerback and draft any safety, our secondary will be better than this previous year, guaranteed. It's so funny to me because you're dead on. And what's crazy to me is that everyone on Twitter was celebrating the demise of the Eagles when they lost Javon Hargrave and TJ Edwards. It was like, wait a second.
Yep.
First off, do you not understand who our offense is, which is still without a good defense, is fantastic. And yet here we go. Howie Roseman's the GM. It's like all Eagle fans who praised Howie Roseman all offseason long suddenly said, oh my goodness, he's terrible again. He's not that good. They just forgot. And yet here we are, even if they don't get Darius Slay back. And I'll say this, even if they don't get CJ Gardner-Johnson back, they're going to be still pretty darn good next year. You can have a top 5 offense and a top 15 defense and go back to the Super Bowl. Ask the Chiefs.
Yep, completely. Yeah, but it's always funny, and we see this quite a bit. But it's an immediate knee-jerk reaction league. So, and I'm sorry, I'm tracking this here, but CJ Gardner-Johnson just tweeted 4 dots. So dot 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 dot.
Oh,
I don't know if that's
geez.
meaning
Did
we're
he
going to
really?
get something now, but he's the king of deleted tweets. So you just
Oh my
you
gosh.
just hold on and let's see. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. It's always the immediate knee-jerk reaction. You got something?
Miles Sanders is a Panther. Wow, 24
Whoa,
seconds ago.
yeah.
Jeremy Fowler has that one. Miles Sanders is signing with the Frank Reich. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
That
Wow.
makes
Wow,
sense.
we're breaking news
That
here
makes
on the
sense.
show. There he goes.
I'm curious
Okay.
to see what contract he gets.
How
We
much
just
money
saw that
did he
Jamal
get?
Williams. Jamal Williams got what, the 8 million or
Guaranteed. Yeah, he only got $4
guaranteed $8
million
million?
a
Yeah.
year. It was 3
Yeah.
years and $12 million. Wow, there goes Miles Sanders. And the CJ ... Does that coincide with Sanders? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wow. Listen, okay, let's talk about this for a second. First off, let me just say this. 451 people watching. Thumbs up. We appreciate that. Also, can we get Josh to 1,000 subs? He's at 947. Like, we literally need 53 more subs to get Josh to 1,000. It's linked down below. You don't even have to leave this show. Just click down below in my description box. Josh's channel, fantastic stuff. We do this every single Wednesday. He has his own Eagle show. Be sure to subscribe. Can we get him to 1,000 by the end of the show? I think we can. It's not that hard. Okay, so Sanders is gone. And we're going to wait for the update here. If you see something, Josh, let me know. This is very fun to do it live right now. The question is going to be money. It really is. So let's just say this about Miles Sanders. I'll give my 2 cents. Love Miles Sanders. I still think to this day they underutilized him in 2022. This past season, it felt like, especially later down the stretch, he either had a knee injury or they just knew he was going to be gone and they were like, you know what, have fun. But I think they underutilized him. I was all for bringing him back, but you clearly see what Howie Roseman is trying to do. He does not value linebackers and running backs. He never has. And so instead of paying Miles Sanders maybe $5 million a year, let's just say Jamal got 4. So let's say, potentially $5 million a year for Miles Sanders to go to the Carolina Panthers. Guess how much the Eagles' entire 3 starting running backs cost for the 2023 season?
$5 million.
Exactly. And so instead of having one who has been injured often, and again, I love Miles Sanders. I think he's great. They get Boston Scott, who's going to beat the Giants twice a year. It's guaranteed. They have Kenny Gainwell, who they're very high on, and he really started popping later on in the year. And Rashard Penny, who we haven't even talked about yet. Rashard Penny has a chance to be really good if he can stay healthy. So congratulations to Miles Sanders, who just got his bag. We're going to try to figure out the money here live on the show, but this is not a surprise. And honestly, I'm pretty happy he's going to be with Frank Reich and the Carolina Panthers. That's a good organization and a fun place.
Yep, and reunited with Deuce Staley. Don't forget about that. So,
come on, that's as obvious as it is.
Yeah. Best wishes to him. I'm with you. It was the playoffs were weird because, yeah, to your point, it's like Miles Sanders wouldn't be used, and then all of a sudden he'd have a pretty productive game, but it was just off and on, and you couldn't really tell. I know it's always or typically always going to be kind of a committee backfield approach. But yeah, I mean, thumbs up for Howie here because he's turned a backfield for $5 million. And I know Rashad Penny, yes, he's injury prone. You don't know for sure. There's some risks there, but that's a guy 5.7 yards per carry in his career, and over the past 2 seasons, 6.2 yards per carry. I mean, love Miles, but I don't think that if you're healthy, I know that's a huge argument to make, but when they're healthy, Rashad Penny to me is a better running back. Now, you can make a lot of arguments there, but Rashad Penny, I saw his pass blocking was much better if you compared to all 3 Eagles running backs, including Miles Sanders. So really, it's just a question if you can keep him healthy, but you've got the committee backfield. Kenny G is going to get a bigger role. Boston Scott's been re-signed. So for $5 million behind this offensive line, I don't think it gets any better than that. Plus, if you want to make the argument too, this is always what makes me happy. What are the Giants paying Saquon Barkley? They're paying him $10 million a year. You just saw now that you've got a contract with Jamal Williams for $4 million, and they're paying Daniel Jones the $40 million a year. So when you look at what the Giants pay for versus what the Eagles are not having to pay for, and we've seen a lot of times, all you need is a strong offensive line. You put some decent, some prominent running backs and get them in the right scheme. You don't have to fork out all this money, and Howie's saving it for much better opportune places.
Just feels like we're waiting for CJ Gardner-Johnson to drop. Almost like we're going to do a show all night long until that actually happens. Still waiting to get the Miles Sanders money here. We're going to read comments too. It's just so much is happening right now. Josh, you're up to 961 on subscribers. So we're
Thank you, guys.
39 away. Can I do some math here? We're 39 subscribers away. Surely not all 522 people watching right now are all subscribed to your channel. Hit the link down below in the description box and be sure to subscribe. And if you're just joining us, we are doing a pretty cool giveaway that's happening night one of the NFL draft starting every Wednesday now. Any person that drops a super chat, $1 equals 1 entry, you have a chance to go ahead and be one of the one lucky winner to get the Eagles first round draft picks jersey from Fanatics. All you gotta do is be subscribed to myself and Josh Davis's channel, of course, down below in the description box, and then drop a super chat. We've already had a bunch of people do that, and they've been entered in. We're gonna keep track of every super chat that comes, how many entries that you've had, and then the more entries you do, the higher chance you have of being selected for the jersey. But this is a really cool giveaway we're doing right now. Go ahead and jump in on that. Night one of the NFL draft, we're definitely going to be giving away a jersey. Heck, we might even give away 2. I don't know. For sure, 1.
And some other items.
Maybe some other stuff.
Items up our sleeves,
other fun stuff as well. So be sure to go ahead and check that out.
Make sure to like it too. Let's keep the likes up. We got 538 here. I think we're like 161 likes. So please go give it a like real quick.
Yeah, be sure. It takes like 2 seconds to like the show. We really appreciate that. Okay, let's read some comments because we haven't been reading comments because things are going crazy right now. And each time I do this, it's me checking to see what's happening and how much Miles Sanders got. I wish we could have an update. Oh, wow. There's a Jalen Carter update from Dove Kleiman I'm seeing. He declined to run a 40 today. Holy cow.
Yeah. He didn't even do any of those drills. It was just the field work.
Wow. Okay. It's more than 1 season for Miles Sanders is what Adam Kaplan is saying. So he's getting a multi-year deal. Not a shock there. It'll probably be 2 or 3 years, but we don't have any terms of money on that just yet. We do have someone getting in on the giveaway right here. Andrew Nathan says he gets 5 entries. If CJ signs, we expect to be a 5-year deal. 5 years is a long time, but he's young enough to where I would be fine with saying yes. I have no problem with a 5-year deal. You can spread the money out a little bit easier. I think that makes a ton of sense overall. Josh, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah. If you're talking about, age of someone who's in their 30s or even obviously, like a James Bradberry, Darius Slay, that doesn't make sense. But come on, you're talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson, and safeties usually have longer careers anyway. I know that as vicious as CJ plays, maybe not, but still he's a super young guy. So I would, if you got 5 years, especially because they talk about like the dummy deal where you back end it. I know you sometimes have to pay for it later. You kick the can down the road, but I'm in favor because anything that saves for money right now, get something worked out later on down the road. Absolutely. Why not lock him up for long term?
And again, this is 5 entries. So if you donate 5, you get 5 entries. 10, you get 10. 100, you get 100 entries.
You down, Andrew.
Whatever it is, Andrew. Preston, 10 entries here for the jersey. Thanks for been loving the content. Thanks for live updates. Probably talking about this before, but who's our first round draft pick? I think it's going to be a corner. I'm really going to be surprised if Darius Slay comes back, despite all the rumors that are happening right now. Give me a second. Someone just said CJ posted on Twitter. You guys, what did he say? I don't see anything on CJ. Sorry. Nope, I don't see anything on CJ just yet. Okay, we're still waiting for CJ Gardner-Johnson. But yeah, Preston, first round draft pick. I think take your pick of the 3 corners or a pass rusher. I think it's very much the D3 corners or it's going to be a pass rusher. And listen, there are some other good pass rushers we're not talking about that much. There's the stud out of Texas Tech if he were to go ahead and fall. There obviously is Cansey out of Pitt if he were to rise up draft boards. Who knows here? But there are at least 3 or 4 good pass rushers in this draft, whether they're defensive linemen like Carter, whether they're actually pass rushers like the guy from Tech who I'm blanking on right now. But if you wanted to do
Tyree Wilson,
you want to put a gun to my head, Preston, or you want to, make me bet all of my money, it's probably going to be a cornerback, which is very un-Howie. But this to me feels like the time to be un-Howie.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you, even though I know we've been talking about and I did a mock draft pre-combine, pre-free agency period and picked a cornerback, picked Devin Witherspoon. The more that I keep thinking about it is how he does what he knows. And I just, it's been since when? I was trying to look that up, but since it's been many, many years since the first round draft pick for a cornerback.
What is Sheldon Brown? It was Sheldon Brown, right?
Was it Sheldon Brown?
I think it was Sheldon Brown. Or was Lito Shepard? It was one of the 2.
Yeah, but it's been forever. And so I don't know. I'm going to say he goes D-line. Could be wrong. Okay. But if I was going to say today, I think he goes with what he knows. He goes with his bread and butter. It's easier. We talked about it on the last live show last week, but I think if you look at it historically, yes, corners can be successful, but defensive linemen seem like the transition is easier for a D lineman. I know Sauce Gardner had a great year. You've got a lot of corners who can come in and make an instant impact, but to me, it's like if you get a beast at a D line, especially when you're drafting at 10, when realistically it's almost like you're drafting at 6, because we've talked about there's probably going to be 4 quarterbacks go off the board. So you take a skill position player or you take a D lineman when you're only 6 spots back, I could definitely see Howie going up and doing that.
I totally agree. Preston with the 10. He gets 10 entries into our jersey giveaway. Thoughts on Bijan Robinson? We've seen that a lot. Listen, here's the problem. It's done. We have to officially kill the Bijan Robinson. Unless Bijan Robinson falls to 27 or 24 or something crazy like that. I know we all want him. And trust me, Josh and I would love to see Bijan Robinson. We would love to give away, which we're doing, obviously, if you're just joining us. We would love to give this jersey being Bijan Robinson. But it's just not practical. And we're not going to lie to you. We're not going to pretend like, oh, there's a chance. There just isn't one. There just isn't one. And even if, give Jordan here two signups for the jersey giveaway as well. Panthers just signed Miles Sanders. Even though we just lost Miles Sanders, they're not going to take him. Howie Roseman tells you who he is. They are not going to spend what is insane capital, a number 10 overall pick, on a running back. It's never been smart. You've seen it burn teams in the past. How far did the Cowboys get with Zeke? How far did the Giants get with Saquon Barkley? Great players, especially in their prime. But how far did they go? You win because of your quarterback, your offensive line, and your defensive line. And those are the three things Howie Roseman really focuses on. And one of those things, the quarterback and the contract he's going to be getting, we're going to focus on in a second here because it's not happened yet. But quick update on Josh's subscribers, 976. So what is that? 24 subscribers away from 1,000. We're going to get him 1,000 by the end of the night. Please. We got to get Josh 1,000 by the end of the night. Just go. It's a Philly special show. Link down below. Subscribe to him. Be sure to thumbs up as well. I don't know how many thumbs up we have on the show right now, but we're at 600 people watching. So make sure you guys thumbs up. Only 192. Okay. I'm going to read more comments here. Could Jalen Carter fall to us? Mason says that yes, based on the fact he had a terrible pro day. There's a very real possibility of that. Someone asked, how do you rank Miles Sanders? I think Sanders is great. I think he can be one of the better backs in this league. I just think that there are a lot of backs that can be good behind this offensive line, and he probably got a lot more money than what we were offering from the Carolina Panthers, and he goes to a really good organization. Quick story here. My junior year of college summer, Josh and I both went to Baylor. We both were at the Baylor Lariat, the newspaper there. I went and interned for the Carolina Panthers flagship station in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lived there with my best friend Will for the summer. Had a blast. Charlotte is great. The Panther fans are very fun. It's a very, I would say, friendly organization that you could root for. Obviously, we're Eagle fans, but I got to go to Carolina Panther training camp, met Luke Kuechly, met, at the time, Riverboat Ron, the head coach. It's a really good organization. I'm pumped for him right there. Matt Johnston said Cowboys making moves. Okay, we're trying to talk about the Eagles right now, Matt. But yes, you did get a 94-year-old cornerback and Stephon Gilmore for a 5th-round draft pick. So it shows you the Colts don't really care about him as well. Congrats to the Cowboys. Looked at their roster and they said, wow, we're going to get spanked by Philadelphia twice a year for the next 5 years. That Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown are there. What can we possibly do? And the best thing they could come up with is a cornerback who's older than dirt. So good job.
Yeah,
really good job. Josh gets 2. Josh H. He gets 2. We have 4 running backs right now for around $10 million. It's less than that, right? Down. It's got to be less than that. Josh has entered in here for the number 1 overall picks jersey with Fanatics and the giveaway here. Make sure he's subscribed. And guys, we can check if you're subscribed too. YouTube lets us do that. So if you do the donation, not subscribe to both, then you're not going to be entered. So it's a 2-step process here, but I appreciate that, Josh. I think it's less. I think it's less than $10 million.
What I saw last time was 3 for 5. So, I mean, I don't know about the 4, but
Trey Sermon's not making a lot of money.
I can't imagine he's getting you up to the 10. So, yeah, Howie's worked his magic, like we said. I want to go back to what you were talking about with the running back situation. Yes. Bijan's been the comment. And as much as I think he'll be having a phenomenal NFL career. Obviously, that's not a shock because everybody sees that and says it. But you're not going to get Bijan at this point. And like the great points that you mentioned there, Thomas, but also too, you talked about like when you're drafting a guy in the first round, certainly your goal is to go in and pick a guy who's going to get signed to a second contract and going to be there for many, many years. But if you look at the most recent examples, and I know Zeke is kind of the easy one to pull. So Matt, sorry to pick on your Cowboys, but Zeke really didn't pay out, quite honestly, for a 4th pick in the draft. But he played great for 4 seasons, but then he really slipped off and fell for the last couple of years. You could argue, yes, there's injuries, but running backs don't often pan out, especially when you want to take the argument of, hey, what if you wait and draft a running back in the 3rd round or 4th round? So as much of a luxury pick as it would be to get Bijan Robinson, there's so many other holes that we need to fill. Now, granted, there's been some great signings that we're pumped about those, but if Howie's looking at it, he's going to say, yeah, can I use a 10 and a 30 on a D-line or cornerback or even offensive line, which he might do because that's what Howie does. That's a much better situation to be in, and it's really the smarter and more long-term play. So that's what I think he would do, but I think running back Bijan, you can cross it off your list. As much as that may hurt all of our feelings, that's just not the play.
It's a 4-year deal for Miles Sanders. That's big. 4 years for Miles Sanders, according to Adam Kaplan. We don't know the money yet, but it's 4 years over to the Carolina Panthers. And we're going to reset the deck here in a second. That way people can see what's going on. But 4 years for Sanders is pretty darn good for Miles Sanders. Congratulations. He's going to get the bag and some security as well there. Shows you how much of a, I would say, love Frank Reich has for the guy. Okay, this is a good comment. Sean McCaffrey, Bobby Wagner, a possibility to slot in with the Kobe Dean. I tweeted this earlier today. Honestly, sure, I would do it, but I'm not Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman will not do it. There's no way he's going to sign Bobby Wagner. I would be so shocked if he were to sign Bobby Wagner. I think it'd be great, but he's not going to do it. I think we're forgetting that Davion Taylor was coming on into his own final 6 games of the year 2 seasons ago, gets kicked into nowhere land this year because of Nakobe Dean. I think Davion Taylor's your other starting linebacker opposite of Nakobe Dean. Sean Bradley's been there for a while now, great on great on special teams. Again, we all like Bobby Wagner. I love Bobby Wagner. It makes sense to bring in a veteran, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Yep, I'm with you. I love Wagner, but yeah, to your point, it's running backs, linebackers, just not where Howie's going to spend. And especially could guarantee you he's not going to bring in anybody worth a penny, really, until you get the CJ Gardner-Johnson deal done. He's not going to spend any more money to say, oh, wait, why did we spend another $10 million if you're not locking that one up? So no big name free agents, I really think, until you figure out one way or another. Is CJ coming back?
Still waiting. It's crazy. It's just crazy that we're not getting a CJ Gardner-Johnson update. We're hoping and we're waiting. Okay, 4 years for Sanders. Thoughts on picking up a number 1 running back? It's not going to happen. Penny signing was to throw everyone off. Ain't no way. I don't know what we're throwing off, but I mean, sure. What's happening with Brady? I don't know. I think he's raising his daughter's cat right now. Jamal Williams just signed with the Saints. Yes. Matt Davis, take your ass back to Dallas. Love you. Must be very lonely. Yeah, Matt Johnson's getting a lot of hate for his Cowboy love here in the chat. He said shush.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. Keep Zeke's name out your mouth, young man. Zeke's trash. Apparently the Bucks are interested in Zeke. I saw that a little while ago.
Good for them. A little bit over the hill talent. You just got Tom Brady last year. You're probably losing Fournette. Go ahead, get Zeke.
Someone said, at Matt Johnson, are you that lonely to be in this chat, bro? He must be. I don't think he has a girlfriend. I think he's single. Let's see. Devin Bush, a player maybe how he goes after. Devin Bush wouldn't be terrible. He wouldn't be awful because he's young, but he's gone to 2 different places now. Most recently, I mean, you think about what he was doing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's never panned out. And so, sure, he'd be cheap, but I know he's 24. Luffy Uchia says he's 24. Yeah, he's young, but I don't know. I think that they like their internal guys. Okay, quickly here, again, entering into our NFL Draft Night jersey giveaway. We'll give away whoever the first overall pick for the Eagles is. We'll give away their jersey to someone who super chats over the next, 7 Wednesdays we do this show. Yep. Danteb, 5 entries. Each dollar is an entry. He gets 5. Make sure you're subscribed to both our channels. Of the top 3 corners, who would you rather have? I think Josh and I are leaning towards Christian Gonzalez. I think if you were, I mean, for me, I think it's Gonzalez. For you, I think you would say the same, right?
Yep, I've gone back and forth. I know I mentioned on the mock draft that I did originally, it was Devin Witherspoon. And then the combine results, Christian Gonzalez is a freak athlete. So that probably swayed me a little bit. I really don't think that you can go wrong. I know Joey Porter, we got to give him some props too, because I don't think we just disregard him completely. But I don't think that you can go wrong with any of the 3. But yeah, I'm with you. I think as of today, if you were saying, hey, who do you take? I'm taking Christian Gonzalez.
Okay, sorry. Keep checking Twitter here. There you go. Dante, 5 entries. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, because obviously, again, there's so much news and a lot of times things get overshadowed. But yesterday, Bradberry obviously signed a very team-friendly deal. There were reports that he got more money. I would love to see, I don't know if we will ever see it, what the actual figures were that he took, but just the fact that he took a team-friendly deal. I know we mentioned at the open of the show, BG taking less money, I think set the example for some of the other players that saying, hey, you know what? I want to buy into this culture in this locker room. And Jalen has a huge part to play in it. So would love to know your thoughts. I mean, my initial reaction, obviously thrilled to keep Bradberry, but what does that say for the culture of the organization, first off, of Bradberry taking a discount, saying Philly is a better fit for me and I want to stay here? But also the second part to that question, do you think that means Jalen might take a little bit of pay cut? Because I know that's the big talk, the Jalen contract, but does that have something to play in it? Because we were starting to see a lot of guys buy in now. And if Jalen's talking to people, or maybe he's been doing some recruiting behind the scenes,
right?
I mean, he's going to get a lot of money regardless. So I don't fault him for maxing out, but Jalen, to me, he strikes me as different. I could see it. I wouldn't blame him if he maxes it out and gets as much as he can, but curious to know what you think about that.
So first off, I think the number was he's the 16th highest paid cornerback in the league is what they gave Bradberry, which if you don't understand how significant that is for a former All-Pro who should have been a Pro Bowler this year and had a very good season. Look at his Pro Football Focus numbers. The fact they got him on a deal that is making him not even the top 15 highest paid person in the league at his position is nuts. That shows you the Jalen Hurts effect. It shows you that the guys inside the locker room believe last year they were good enough to win a Super Bowl. They should have won that Super Bowl, like we all agree. But they also believe they can go back this year. And you know what? Some guy named Aaron Rodgers, who was probably the best quarterback in the NFC, around Jalen Hurts, he's not in your division anymore. And I saw a tweet going through all the quarterbacks right now in the NFC. Who's the best? Who's the best?
It's clear cut.
It's Jalen Hurts. It's number one. And he's going to get his money, 100%. He's going to get his money. But I do think there could be a little bit of a discount here because, I mean, if the Eagles came to Jalen Hurts and said, and I don't think they'd do this, a little disrespectful, but let's just say they said, hey, we can get CJ Gardner-Johnson back, but you can't get 47, you get 45 a year. What do you do? I mean, think about all the money Jalen Hurts is getting from endorsements now. I mean, the guy's going to get his bag. Now, you never say take less because we ask you working at Starbucks or you working at some big tech company or, person watching insert your job. Your boss says, hey, we can keep Greg. You really like Greg, right? He works the register really well, but you got to take a little bit less. None of us would do it. But I don't know. Jalen has this certain, I don't know what the word is. He has this drive in him that
he's a difference maker.
NFL players have. Yes, but he's a difference maker.
Pre-combine draft.
I think he's going to maybe not take less, but I don't think it's $50 million a year anymore. I think it's going to be 45 to 47, and anywhere below 50 is fine with me. He deserves it. Move it to the bank.
I would love to see that.
I think Josh has already donated. He gets 2 more entries here.
One.
Cox took a team-friendly deal, turned down higher. Yes, Cox turned down. The Jets apparently had a higher offer. That's been reported by Justina Anderson at ESPN. Listen, Bradberry said he had higher offers. Brandon Graham had higher offers. That's 3 Eagles, 3 pretty important Eagles who could have made maybe $3 or $4 more million a year, turned it down because they want to go win a ring. And guess what? Juju Smith-Schuster, TikTok boy, he signed with the Patriots this year. Patriots at the Eagles. You think James Bradberry wanted another shot at Juju Smith-Schuster after what happened this past, 2 months? I think so as well. This Eagle team is going to be coming for blood this year. They're pissed off. They're mad that they lost that Super Bowl because they were up 10 points at halftime with Mahomes limping into the locker room. They should have won. We're all mad, but think about being them. They think they can run this back. I feel very confident that they might. Bird Gang 361 says, what up, Thomas? What up, man? Always shows how selfish Slay is to want more money. I don't know if it's selfish. I mean, again, Slay is 32 years old. He's still a very good cornerback, and he's trying to get paid one final time. It's not selfish. It's what we all would do. It's what we all would do, 100%.
Yeah. And it's the normal thing, right? So again, you can't, I can't fault him. The argument that you just made for players that are saying, hey, max out what I can make. I'm right there with you. If I'm at my job, yes, please pay me for the most that I can get. Give me a raise as much as I can get. But it just speaks to the nature of who's actually bought in so much to the Philly culture and to this team to say, yeah, you know what, a couple $1 million, I'll take a pay cut. I want to be a part of this. So you can't fault him, but I think it shows the true colors of like, hey, who's legitimately wanting to be an Eagle above anything else versus, you know what, I've got some more years left. I want to get as much as I can and milk this thing for what it's worth. And you can't fault him in that situation. So I love to see it from the guys like Cox, like Brandon Graham, like Bradberry, the guys who are taking that. But I'm excited. I think that they've got a chip on their shoulder. There's obviously the hunger and the desire. If you haven't seen the interview Jason Kelce did on the Rich Eisen show today, check that out too, because that was great to hear. It was just the thought process on his retirement, what would bring him back. And just a kind of a excerpt from that was that he said, really, it came down to the stinging pain of losing the Super Bowl. And that's, kind of what we all thought. If he had won, it probably would have changed things. But in the very end of the clip, he talks about how we're going to run this thing back. And he's excited. He's saying, hey, we've got a whole lot of potential, obviously with Jalen, but he said even years to come. He's like, Jalen is the cornerstone of the franchise. And this is not news to us, obviously, but it just, again, everything that you hear, the leadership, the mentality, the way that Jalen owns the locker room and the quiet strength that he has, I cannot wait. I mean, it's the fact that it's 6 months away. That's going to be forever to wait. But this team, I am already so excited for the season to get here.
I'm very excited for Josh to hit 1,000 subs. He is, let me do the math here, 14 subs away. There you go. Philly Special
Oh, heck
Show.
yeah.
Subscribe to the Philly
Thank you,
Special Show.
guys.
Link down below. He's going to hit 1,000 subs by the end of this show. We're not going to end until he hits 1,000 subs. He's going to hit it tonight for sure.
And make sure to like. We've got 670, I think, here in the show.
Jeez.
So make sure to like the show real quick. Just go there and hit the like button.
Hey, and for those of you just joining, we do this every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We call it the Wednesday Link, like Lincoln Financial Field, LINC. A lot of cool stuff coming up. Shaddy Raw says, got you with the sub, Josh. Thank you, Shaddy. We appreciate that. As a Cowboy fan, should I give Josh a sub? I think he should. Josh, say one thing nice about the Dallas Cowboys. That way Matt will sub you. Try and think of something.
They probably have the best stadium in the NFL.
Really?
In terms of, I'm not saying I enjoy the ambience, but I'm just saying in terms of like the quality, I've been there for high school games, for college games, for the amenities. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I like it better than LINC. I've only been to the LINC once, but the atmosphere, the home field advantage, it's hands down Philly. But I mean, if you want me to say something in terms of like state of the art from what I've experienced so far, it's been
state of the art's the right word. Yeah.
There you go.
We've both been in the press box at Jerry World.
The food might be the best. I have experienced maybe better food in terms of press box food. So maybe if that's worth a sub, I would appreciate it, Matt.
There you go, Matt. I was going to say CeeDee Lamb's pretty good, but I don't want to say that. So we're just going to move on. Let's see. Do you guys know how our comp picks for next year are turning out? I think we have 4, right? I think we have 4 comp picks, or three, right? We have 3 comp picks from people that have gone away, which are going to be like a third. I think it's a 4th and 2 fifths. I'm not sure. We're getting
for the comp picks.
The projection is 9 picks in the first 4 rounds, is what I have heard. That's the projection.
Okay, yeah. The last thing that I heard, and it may have been updated a little bit more today, but from what I heard, it was a 3rd and then 3/6. But that may be updated more recently now.
We said it. This is Dudley getting all his presents in Harry Potter, 46 of them. Howie Roseman is going to be trading up and down the 2024 draft. It's going to be nuts. Shout out to Sir James 11AB, sub to Josh's channel. Thank you for trying to get Josh to 1,000 subs. He's so darn close. Yes, Dominic said CJ posted on Twitter, ... What does that mean? Great question. I have no idea. I would
hopefully that he's going to sign on the dotted line.
That's
for the Eagles.
Great.
That's what I was.
That could be it. That's pretty good.
Hopefully that's what I took it. But then, it's been what? How long has it been up there now? So
yeah, it's been on there for a while.
24 minutes. I think you could sign a signature and get news out earlier than that. But hopefully,
man, we still don't have. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Let's see some more comments here. Matt, go away. Not gonna lie, Allegiant and SoFi are bothering better. I don't know what that means, Matt.
I said both. I think you
are
meant
both better. Yeah. I mean, Allegiant and SoFi are probably pretty cool. Matt would know. Here we go. More entries into our jersey giveaway on draft night. We always throw this up here. Let me do like this. There we go. Canik Shep gets 5 entries. Every $1 is an entry. What are your thoughts on quarterback 2? Personally, done with Minshew, but we really think Ian Book can confidently fill that role. I don't think Ian Book can fill that role at all, but I was surprised to see, and we didn't even mention this because so much is going on. What is his name? Jacoby Brissett signed with the Washington Commanders. Very weird. I thought they liked Sam Howell. I guess not. But right now, it kind of looks like Ian Book's going to be our quarterback number 2, right? Unless they draft somebody.
That's the way it's looking, and appreciate it, Canik Shep. I got you down for 10. He sent it one earlier, so up to 10 entries now.
There you go, 10 entries.
But yeah, like I know you did a show on it yesterday. One of the 3 or 4 shows. I mean, give it a like for Thomas.
Like
it's just being on it. I mean, I'm impressed. It's like 15 minutes after the breaking news, and all of a sudden you got to show up. That's me re-recording like 3 or 4 times. So, but no, you were mentioning Jacoby Brissett, and I love that. But it's like, okay, it's always the question of what's the money going to be. And you got a team who's more desperate for a quarterback, quite honestly. So Jacoby going to the Commanders, I don't love it being in the division because I think he's a good quarterback. But I was disappointed because it's like, okay, officially Philly's not going to have him as number 2. But you got other money and probably was not going to work out anyway. But I'll be curious because I think you have to solidify number 2 a little bit better than we're currently at. So I don't know. You don't want to plan on Jalen getting hurt, but again, just the way that he plays, it's always the fear. There's a chance he could get banged up.
Well, and Gardner Minshew doesn't have a market. Clearly, he hasn't been signed yet.
Yeah.
So Minshew can come back. If it's good, you give you $4 million to come back, he might just take it. So we'll see. Canik, appreciate that. You got 10 entries. 2 entries here for Soul Sinner, who gets 2 entries into our jersey giveaway on night 1 of the NFL draft every Wednesday. If you're just joining us every Wednesday, we do this show live for at least an hour, probably a little bit longer tonight. And every super chat that you give, $1 is 1 entry for a chance to potentially get whoever the number 10 overall draft pick or our first overall draft pick is. That is whose jersey we will get you via Fanatics. Okay, let's see some more comments here. Imagine Slay joining the Chiefs, bro. The TikTok crew might go crazy. No, Cameron, don't wish that on us. It's not going to happen. Jalen should take awful. $1 more than Dak Prescott. That's fine by me.
Okay, yeah, I'd be down for that.
Sydney family, get me through this workout. Keep grinding. What are we working out today? Thoughts on Lamar? Okay, I mean we can talk about Lamar briefly here. Apparently, no one wants to give him $250 million guaranteed. Here, a couple of things on Lamar. We've said this in each show, right? What Deshaun Watson did was ruin the quarterback market for Lamar Jackson because Deshaun Watson showed that you can get $250 million guaranteed. Lamar wanted that. Ravens weren't able to do it. And right now, I think most teams in the National Football League don't want to reset the quarterback market. And so you're seeing all of them say, hey, I'm out. Like, no thanks. Now, my problem with Lamar Jackson is he's often injured. He's 1-4 in the postseason. He has more interceptions than touchdowns in the postseason. You show me what you mean. Jalen Hurts has more postseason wins, and he's been in the league for way less and started way less games. Okay, Lamar's still great. But you can't go into this expecting to get $50 million a year. We don't have the resume to back it up right now. And the resume is good. He's not bad, but you got to be able to back it up. And that's my problem. He also didn't have an agent, which the last player I remember who didn't have an agent was Russell Okung. He took his entire salary in Bitcoin at $69,000 a coin. What's Bitcoin at today?
Seemed like a great idea at the time. But
yeah, he lost a lot of money. So I maybe you don't trust agents, fine. But a lot of other big name players have trusted them before you and gotten their bag. I don't think Lamar is going anywhere. To me, the Commanders made a ton of sense, but they would not sign Jacoby Brissett and have Sam Howell and also go give the bag to Lamar Jackson. So I think he's gonna be a Raven. I think he's gonna end up being a Raven, which stinks.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see that. The thing, and not to get too far down this rabbit hole, but I think they're really connected, the Aaron Rodgers saga and the drama that's happened taking place over the last couple of days. But I mean, if you're the Jets, I would have been like, you know what, forget this. The drama and everything else you're dealing with Aaron Rodgers, I know you're giving up a lot. You got to figure out a contract and everything else. But if I'm looking at that, I'm saying, well, it sounds like the Packers are wanting 2 first-round picks anyway. So if I got to give that up, then you know what, just go get Lamar. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? So I don't know. I could see an argument both ways, but it is kind of telling. It's not super surprising the fact that he hasn't, no reports or anything else. And as of today at 4:00 Eastern was officially the time that teams can start talking or negotiating because the new league year starts, which, let's not kid ourselves. It's been happening for weeks if they were going to do it, but legally they could actually do it at 4:00 Eastern. So you may see reports, but I'm with you. I kind of think this thing's really trending towards the Ravens are just going to keep him, which is somewhat surprising because I did feel like you'd get some sort of knee-jerk reaction from just one team that's like, you know what, break the bank, do it. Who cares? We're going to mortgage the future to maybe win in the present, but you're just not seeing that.
Okay, how about this? We got to make an announcement. Josh Davis has reached 1,000 subs. Everyone, congratulate Josh.
Thank you,
He's
guys.
done it. He's at 1.1 now. Waffle says, I want to say I subscribe to Josh to get you to 1,000. And I love your mustache. It's so good looking. Why, thank you. My girlfriend doesn't like it, but
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
No, she doesn't. She likes it with a little scruff, but it's March. It's mustache March, baby. We got to be rocking the mustache. Waffles, thank you very much.
I did not know that was a thing.
It is.
Okay.
Congrats to Josh getting 1,000. I bet I see a baller. How do I subscribe to Josh without leaving the show? It's linked down below in the description box. You can click that. It'll take you to his show, but it's in a new tab. So you can just come right back. So just because he got to 1,000 doesn't mean he can't have more, right? We can get him more subscribers. Come on. Also, if we're subscribing to people, you haven't subscribed to me yet, I'm almost to 10,000 subs. So
there you go.
At 9,868. So that's our next milestone. 10K. All right, more comments here. Thomas Mott should be the backup. If you saw me at the Baylor intramural flag football fields, you would agree with that take, but I'm a little bit too small. That's the problem.
What was your starting quarterback record?
It was pretty good, but 0-2 in the playoffs. So unlike Lamar Jackson. That's the problem.
Okay.
I did have 7 touchdowns in one game though against like Sigep or something like that, but they weren't that good. Let's see. Stop trashing Slay. He looks like he will be back. Let the release happen so you can help the team to sign CJ. Possibility. CJ gonna back to the Saints. Please shout me out. I really want to know. I haven't seen anything about CJ going back to the Saints. We'll keep an eye on it. That'd be very surprising if he did.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that. I keep refreshing, though. He's nothing else since the dotted line.
Clarence Hill Jr. just said 49ers. in a quote tweet to the Niners reaching out to Darius Slay. Oh boy, keep an eye on that. All right, we might have news here soon. We're gonna see. Okay. We have a super chat. Fungly Gang DB, 5 entries. Get him in here. 5 entries. Josh,
got you down.
Marks this down for a chance to have the first round draft picks jersey from Fanatics. Got to be subscribed to both. Congratulations. He says, I don't think Jordan Davis ready for us to be that guy. Speaking of Jordan Davis right there. He got banged up quite a bit last season. I want to draft cornerback 10, D tackle 31. I think Davis, the transition to the NFL is hard for everybody. I think he's going to be much better this year. I do think the ankle injury for a big guy, that big of a guy, he's like 10 of me. I mean, goodness gracious, does play an impact. But you can have Jordan Davis and still draft Cansey at 30 and still take a cornerback at 10. I totally agree. Fine with it.
Yep.
Not a problem.
I think you're right. And again, like we've talked about, you've got to pick at 10, you got to pick at 30. If I was going to go and say what I think or predict is going to happen as of today in the draft, I think that Howie's probably going to trade back with one of those picks to collect multiple picks, because remember, what is it? It's 6 picks, but 2 of those are 7th rounders. So it's really not like 6 picks. I could see him trading back and trying to stockpile a little bit more. But yeah, you have to solidify. And as Howie's always done, the trenches, it's one in the trenches. So he's going to draft a defensive lineman and or an offensive lineman. You can almost book it. But it'll be interesting to see what they go with at 10, or does he trade up? Does he trade back? We'll have to see. But I'm not thinking, as I know there's value there with the cornerback position. I think he either goes D-line or he trades back and he says, hey, we'll just see what we can get a little bit later.
Okay, I just got a tweet DM to me from, and I'll give him credit, this is Ash Miller, a tweet that came out 19 minutes ago. Kendall Beck, who has a blue check. I don't know who this guy is. He's a co-host of AAT Birds featured on NBC. Okay, I don't know if he's real or not. He says, quote, when officially released, Darius Slay will be signing with the Baltimore Ravens. That was 19 minutes ago, but there have been no other tweets. So is Slay a Raven officially? Doesn't look like it's official yet.
I don't see anything official. It wouldn't surprise me, though, because like we were saying, Marlon Humphrey was tweeting right at the same time that the eye emojis came out, and Slay was contemplating something, but we couldn't figure out what that would be. You've obviously got Denard Wilson there, which Slay, remember, spoke up for, basically said, hey, he should be the next DC, and the Eagles didn't listen to him. So it would make sense. It makes sense if he's like, you know what, next best fit, let's go to Baltimore.
Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Obviously, we would get more news on that shortly here, so stay tuned if Slay is going to be a Raven. If he is, though, it's AFC. I'm all for our guys going to the AFC. Andrew Nathan says, Thomas with the porn stash. Okay, well.
That's not what we're going for.
EC Rush says, just sub to both of you. I appreciate that. Fantastic. We got Josh to 1K subs. Make sure to go ahead and thumbs up as well. Let's see here. Odds the Eagles make the Super Bowl. I think we both feel pretty darn good. Kenny Galladay got cut. Yeah, he just got cut, but Kenny Galladay stinks. So I don't really want to take Kenny Galladay. Let's see. I'm trying to see some more comments here. That guy has 6,000 followers. Yeah, the guy who did tweet. Does anyone know who the guy is? I don't know.
He got blocked by Slay. I will say that.
Oh.
He was one of the first ones to be critical of Slay. And then I know that some drama kind of started to happen on Twitter.
Kendall Beck. But maybe he's someone famous. I don't know who he is. I mean,
we got another super chat though.
Fans with sources. Oh, we got someone who wants to get into our jersey giveaway. Keith Wells, where the odds the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl percentage? Percentage is tough. Percentage is really tough. 40%? Because obviously it's not a higher than 50% chance with 16 or 15 other teams in the conference. Let's just be real. 40%, 30%. I mean, I think they're going to go back to the playoffs. That's probably 80%, 85%, barring some sort of crazy injuries. But 40% back to the Super Bowl, tough to do. But I think that there's a chance, right?
I would take that. Yeah. The playoffs, as we've said, the NFC is a weaker division. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that because it somehow downplays the Eagles. It doesn't downplay the Eagles. It's just kind of the fact of look at the quarterbacks, and it's a quarterback-driven league. And you can't tell me that there's really more than 1 or 2 quarterbacks that even really have a remote chance to go, and maybe they could play a good game and actually show up and do something in the playoffs. So it's a weaker conference. The division is somewhat tough, obviously, as we saw the NFC East can be, but I think you're making the playoffs. And then, I mean, all bets are off. We've seen it in the playoffs for so many years. It's you really don't know what's going to happen, but I would take 40%, sure, because you have the best quarterback in the NFC currently. You've signed some deals that weren't expected to get done. We likely are hoping that CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be back, which, by the way, let's just tell for the viewers that were there on the live show last week, we both said, forget it, write it off. We'll scream and yell that we were terribly wrong, so we may be wrong. I hope that we're wrong. I hope we wake up tomorrow or maybe even tonight after the show or even live here in a second that CJ signed back with the Eagles. But the fact that you've got all these names now, yeah, I think it's impossible to guess, but sure, I'll go with 40%. That sounds, with the way the conference is, 40% is great.
I think that's totally fair. Keith, I appreciate the 5. You have 5 entries into our jersey giveaway. Just joining us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We do the Wednesday LINC Live. Myself, Josh Davis. His channel is linked in my description box. And until night one of the draft, or really on night one of the draft, we're going to pick one of the people that has given a super chat. And obviously, each dollar is an entry. So if you give $100, you get 100 entries in for a chance to get whoever the first round draft pick's jersey is. So you just got to go ahead and drop a super chat between now and the draft, and then subscribe to both channels. We're going to keep track of all of that. Josh's job tonight is to write them all down. He's been doing it. We appreciate you guys. So jump in on that. Even $1 gets you entered for really $100 jerseys. It's pretty fun. And we're going to have more stuff to give away next week. Stay tuned. I got some pretty exciting stuff for my 10K subscriber hit. Some pretty fun launches that are coming up here. Let's see. Do we have any final? See, whenever you get one of these non-big name journalists to give you like a breaking news in terms of Kendall Beck saying that Slay's going to be a Raven, you kind of need, you kind of need some serious reporting here. And so
somebody else needs to follow up with it.
Yeah, we don't have any sort of serious reporting on what's going on with Slay. And so the fact that we haven't gotten an update on that, I think is telling. I think it's telling. I can only imagine what it's like being Howie Roseman tonight. I can only imagine. I mean, they're probably working the phones. It's probably crazy right now.
The last couple of days, really, man. You think he's slept? What do you think the over/under is on his hours of sleep these last 3 days?
It's got to be light, right? But you also figure he's probably not the only one talking. They got to have a team of little mini GMs talking to people, right?
They're Howie's elves.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sick of waiting. I am too, Elijah. I am. We release Slay, but keep old man Fletch. Okay, everyone who's hating on Fletcher Cox is forgetting the fact that he still is, a pass rushing defensive tackle, which is rare in the National Football League. He was top 6 in sacks this past season, and he's a leader. And he's there to mentor Milton Williams, who might have a breakout season. You never know. And Jordan Davis. And for the money, I'm totally fine with it.
Yep. And Kalijah Cansey, hopefully. I will keep saying that.
Slay isn't going to the Ravens. Yeah, well, I mean, we need some more actual reporting here if Slay is going to go to the Ravens, because we're not seeing it right now.
I hope not.
Yeah, we still don't have anything. Okay, this whole idea that Slay is a diva is ridiculous. People are really hating on Darius Slay in my comment section, and they have been for the past couple of days. Still really good and was a true professional in Philadelphia. Truly a professional in Philadelphia. I love Slay. I love to have Slay on the show. I would get Slay on the show in a heartbeat, and I would sing my praises to him if he were to come on. He's got his own podcast. Is he on the volume? Is he on Cowherd's volume? I don't know where his podcast is.
Yeah.
He's on the volume.
I think it's usually every Saturday that it drops, but he's usually been speaking on, a couple different things. He obviously did the top 5 wide receivers that he played against last year.
Right.
Spoke on the Juju thing a little bit, but it's cool. Everyone who does a podcast. I mean, it's no wonder that he's successful. Obviously, the New Heights podcast with Jason and Travis Kelce. It's just awesome to see the behind the scenes. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting I would love to pick Slay's brain, but I got to give him a little bit of credit because he does go on there and actually vocally say, hey, these wide receivers are great. He's giving his top 5. Several wide receivers are in the division. It takes a little bit of character to actually say, like, hey, these are guys that I go up against, but they're actually good. So I'm with you. I don't think that he's a diva. We've gone over it time and time again. You can't fault him for wanting to max out a deal. I mean, how many other times, if you were to see a different player on a different team and you see news break, you're like, oh, that's normal. That's no big deal. Like, that just happens. But it's because he's with the Eagles. And I get it. I'd love to see him take a BG deal or take a Cox deal like that. But not every guy's like that. Like, they're not all just going to be, hey, you know what? Give me a team friendly deal. I'm willing to do it. And that's fine. I don't see him as a diva because of it.
I don't either. Sports World says Thomas Mott show Slay is not a diva. I think Josh just summed that up very, very well. How do we feel if Philly signs wins to a veteran minimum? Yeah, right. Come on. Yeah, right.
Oh, God.
How do we feel if I become a millionaire?
Yeah.
No. How do we feel if a meteorite hits the earth tomorrow? Just talk about things that are never going to happen.
Oh,
goodness gracious. No. It was too ugly. Man, Kanik wants to get in on some on this jersey giveaway. Another 5 more entries. I think he's the leader in the pack tonight in terms of entries.
Now.
15 entries for Kanik Shep into the jersey giveaway. Sam All leads the Birds. Think Wow, that's right. Sayamalu hasn't left yet or signed somewhere else. Do you think Jurgens will fill in? And if so, I think learning next to Kelsey is better than learning behind him. First off, talk about just getting fog of war, lost in the battle. The fact that I think Sayamalu is not signed anywhere, which is crazy because he was the top-rated guard going into the NFL free agency period. And again, you wait longer and longer, the money's not going up, it's probably going down. I think Jurgens fills in just fine. I think Jurgen makes the Philadelphia Eagles the most athletic interior offensive line in football. Dickerson is a fantastic mover. Kelsey is one of the best movers of all time. And they drafted Jurgens to replace Kelsey because he's a great mover at Nebraska. And so I think he's going to be great learning next to him. It at least gets them close. It gets them in huddles. It gets them, closer in, the starting offensive line meeting rooms. You're not in the back, right? Excuse me. I think it's really good. I really do.
Yeah, and I was trying to find, because it is shocking that Sayamalu's not gotten a deal. It was with the Falcons, right? Didn't they sign that guard?
Yeah, Chris Lindstrom, who was
yeah,
their rookie.
Yeah.
He's really good. He got $100 million.
He got tackle money. So the fact that that is kind of surprising to me. So maybe something to read into it. He's kind of flown under the radar because obviously the names like CJ Gardner-Johnson, Slay, Bradberry are getting all the hype in the news, but like we've said, usually the top players do get signed earlier. So yeah, the fact that it hasn't happened, I know that, we probably all saw this by now, but the report from Bradberry, which I think was very telling, and love to get the inside scoop, but basically how he told all the top free agents, like, hey, give us a chance to match. I mean, they think that says something. It's like, okay, if you're willing to maybe take a team-friendly deal, or we can make something work, we'll look into it. But that's an interesting point that Kenneth brings up there, because yeah, we haven't heard anything official, and I mean, this is a really good guard. So I'd be curious to see, maybe something's going to happen that we're not expecting, because I had just written him off as like, yeah, that's going to happen. And now it's going to be Cam Jurgens sliding over. But I think that either way, Cam was going to get a lot of support and help from Kelsey. But I mean, I like him playing next to him, really, because yeah, there's only so much, learning that can be done, I think, behind the scenes or sitting behind Jason Kelsey. But now you're going to have him on the field, not just in practice, but during games. I mean, maybe it's a little bit shaky. I really don't think it will, because he's been able to see what the pace of the game, the speed, and everything else. But maybe it's a little bit shaky early on. But I think by midseason, he's going to hit his stride, and we're really not going to blink. The offensive line is going to be perfectly fine.
Back to Fletcher Cox quickly here, and I agree with everything that you just said. Cox is the 23rd highest paid defensive tackle on his new deal. It's not bad for, okay. I think people would argue he's top 15 still. He can be disruptive, and he was really good this year because he didn't have to play all those snaps. And he's not a starter. He's a rotational guy like they have everyone else on the defensive line.
Yep. I think it was a fair deal. I won't go out on a limb and say that it was a steal by any means. I don't think that, but yes, he took a team-friendly deal. He took a little bit less money, and like what you just mentioned there, we've seen it from BG. He played less snaps. You're not asking Fletch to go out there and play every single down. So to be able to have him here, I think the plan now, and probably always has been, that Howie's like, we're going to keep some of these guys. We're going to go draft. Maybe you get someone like a Kalijah Cansey. I don't know that I like the Jalen Carter idea. Maybe he falls, maybe Tyree Wilson, get some other guys, and you have kind of that rotational method that they love on the D line. And sure, then Fletch works great because he can always be fresh. He's not out there every single down, like you mentioned. So I think it's good. I think it's a good deal. I wouldn't say it's an A+. If I had to give it a grade, I'd say it's maybe a B+ in terms of signing with Fletch for that deal. But again, it speaks to, he wanted to be back at Philly, how he made it work. And I'll say this, like I opened with the show with, I think that's telling that we're going to get CJ Gardner-Johnson back. I could be dead wrong, but I don't know that you're Howie. You sit there and say, let's pay $10 million to Fletch, and then you just let CJ walk whenever the numbers are probably going to be pretty close, because we've seen some of the contracts from the safeties. I don't know that Jordan Poyer's come out, or has his contract details come out? I don't think I saw that yet. But Born some Hills of the comparable. Was. Okay, yeah, some of the comparable ones, again, we're just looking at that. So we'll have to see. But Jennifer Slay looks like she just tweeted Slay the GOAT, but I don't know what that means. So maybe
I'm going to her Twitter right now. Jennifer Slay, wife of Darius Slay. Slay the GOAT. You're right. 1 minute ago. What does that mean?
I need an interpreter. I need an emoji interpreter. More of an inside scoop.
It's crazy that... Jennifer Slay is great, though. She gives away signed Darius Slay jerseys on Twitter all the time. It's like retweet.
I was seeing that, yeah.
I've always retweeted. Never won one. What a bummer. Would love another chance, though. You never know. Anybody watching the USFL this year? No.
Speaking of jerseys, too, don't forget, Super Chat.
There you go. Every super chat, every dollar that you give towards a super chat gets you one entry. So you $100, $50, $10, $2 entry to get the first overall draft pick for Philadelphia's jersey from Fanatics. We'll send it to you. We're going to pick a random person. We're going to keep track of them all. And of course, Josh is tracking them. We're going to pick that person on draft night. We're going to be live for the entire first round of the NFL draft on April, 27th, 28th. It's like a 5-hour live stream. We're live for the entire thing.
Yeah.
Andrew is a member to the show. I appreciate that. You know what? That is I put Andrew down. Members can become can be eligible as well. Let's put him down for $3. I think it's a $3 for the membership.
There you go.
Like that. Yep. Andrew, you get $3. I appreciate becoming a member. Let's see. Slated tweet. He might be back. I believe the CJ Gardner-Johnson small walks and looking for Slay to come back. This, Chris makes a good point. I do think that Howie's trying to go one or the other, and he wants CJ. But now, if CJ knows that, then maybe he wants a little bit more because of the whole Darius Slay. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
You would have thought we already have the news by now, but the fact that we don't.
And think about it. It's 8:15 p.m. Eastern. That's local time in Philadelphia. It'd be interesting if we go another night without the news. It really would.
I would be shocked.
It'd make for a good show tomorrow, but I kind of want to do this now. I would love to be able to break this sucker down.
I really need them to release it before March Madness starts because I can't have all the big upsets and everything else, and then you add that on top of it. It's been nuts to keep track of, but I don't need extra craziness.
Miles Sanders has posted to his Instagram account, and it is a video, and it's him talking about how much he loves Philadelphia. I don't want to play it right now. Oh, here we go. This is from Miles Sanders. Okay, can I go to the Instagram app, please? Since I was 7 years old, all I wanted was to play in the NFL. Philly made my dreams come true. Thank you for an unforgettable experience. Not looking forward to being a visitor at the LINC, but can't wait to see y'all again. And, we love Sanders. Sanders is really showing the way. This is how you leave Philadelphia and still get cheered for whenever you come back. Say, hey, money didn't work out. Love you guys. Fantastic. Can't wait to come back and play against you, but one love. It's all very good. Thank you for helping my Panthers. We got Panthers fans in the chat. Man, if we don't sign Chauncey, says Zemethian Watson. They have to. Remember Namdi Asamoah? No, I don't want to remember that. No thanks.
We had one of those shows where we started reliving the past, and it was too much. Let's not do that.
Mike Halo, how much does Sanders get paid? We don't know. It's 4 years. We don't know the money. Brian Biting, hey guys, I thought CJ would be signed by now. I'm wavering. Don't waver, Brian. Hold fast, right? You ever seen a Master and Commander when he puts you ever seen Master and Commander?
Yep.
Yeah,
I have.
He gets tattooed on. Hold fast, right? Come on. You haven't seen Master and Commander. Shout out Master and Commander in the chat. What a great movie.
That's great.
Not sure about CJ. I would rather have Cox more. I don't know about that. I'd rather have CJ. So let's just reset the deck here. I think that if you're just joining us, here's what's happened. We've been going live here for over an hour and 15. Here's everything that's happened tonight. First off, they re-signed Fletcher Cox to a 1-year, $10 million deal. We don't know how much of that is guaranteed. It's not going to be all 10. Let's just be real about that. It's very much a team-friendly deal because the Jets offered more. And very clearly, Cox wants to come back and try and run it back and win a Super Bowl. One final year, most likely, come back, try and win a Super Bowl, mentor Jordan Davis. Both Josh and I are for it. Sure, it's a little bit expensive, but as Josh has pointed out, they wouldn't give $10 million potentially to Fletcher Cox had they not also have money somewhere hidden underneath the bed, underneath the mattress for CJ Gardner-Johnson. We expect, both of us do, that they will re-sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. We don't know when. We kind of hoped it would happen during the show. It hasn't. Josh is looking at his Twitter feed right now. We've been doing that all show long. The other news is that Darius Slay might not be gone. He's not been officially released. All the reports were saying he was going to be released. He has not been released yet. Now, there's a new report suggesting there are 5 teams trying to trade for Darius Slay right now. There's reports saying that it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. There's a lot of smoke going around on Twitter. But Slay being released versus being traded saves Philadelphia more money, but they don't get anything in return. And so that's kind of the flip side here of what's going on between trading Slay and releasing Slay. And so that is currently where we stand. Also, Miles Sanders has signed a 4-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. We expected him to go somewhere. Honestly, Carolina is a great spot. Reunites with Deuce Staley. Got to remember, he was not here. He was still at Penn State when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. He was drafted the draft afterwards. But still, I'm sure Frank got a very glowing, I would say, recommendation from Eagles coaches. Congrats to Miles Sanders. He's out. Jamal Williams got a deal to be with the Saints. Saints are sneakily becoming one of the better teams in the NFC with Derek Carr, Michael Thomas, Jamal Williams. I mean, the guy had 17 touchdowns this past year. And other than that, I think that's all the updates that we have. I am seeing tweets about DeAndre Hopkins and Dallas. Nothing official yet, but remember, D-Hop is going to be traded, and apparently the Cowboys are very interested. So that could happen
According to reports.
Well.
Yeah, Micah Parsons tweeted directly at D-Hop and said, basically, it's time. He gave him, some eye emojis. We've seen way too many eye emojis, though.
The eye emoji thing is getting old.
Not enough info to go off of that. So it's time. We thought that the dotted line or the 4 dots that CJ Gardner-Johnson had tweeted was maybe signing on the dotted line, but that obviously appears to be not what that is. So we'll see. But it'll be interesting. You mentioned Slay as one of the topics there too. He was supposed to be released earlier today, and now it still hasn't officially happened. And Jeff McClain had tweeted on Twitter just about, this is obviously not the first time that we've seen a veteran go through the situation. Obviously, Fletcher Cox was supposed to be released, and then all of a sudden it's, hey, he's coming back. So you rework a deal that could get done. But it's, I don't know, there's been so many news of going back and forth and all this change and everything else. So I'm hoping sooner rather than later, like we keep saying, that CJ Gardner-Johnson gets done. But I'm with you. The fact that you've signed some of these other players to deals, which again, I think the Fletcher Cox deal is great, but it's not a phenomenal, oh my gosh, you got an absolute steal. So if you're spending $10 million on him, it does seem to suggest that you've got money somewhere else that you're allocating specifically for CJ Gardner-Johnson.
I think that is very well said. Very well said. Jennifer Slay tweeting again, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see about that one. Make sure to subscribe to Josh Davis, Philly Special Show. Congratulate him on hitting 1,000 subs. He's going to be getting a lot more than that over the coming weeks. I'm approaching 10K. I have a big announcement happening next week on my channel. Be sure to stay tuned for that. We do this every single Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We'll go for a little longer, too. I mean, listen, I have another work meeting at 9 p.m., and so maybe we'll go till 8:45. I don't know. I got Wednesday nights are work night meetings. It's crazy, so I can't be on.
Yeah,
forever,
what's up with you in the work night meetings on Wednesday night? Your calls with Asia.
Yeah, we gotta talk to Asia again tonight and make sure everything's going right. So, you know what we need? We need to get as big as the Pat McAfee show. That way, CJ Gardner-Johnson himself will come on and announce where he's going to go to 450 plus people watching. Did you see the Aaron Rodgers? I watched it today. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And the Adam Schefter with his tweet. Oh my gosh. I mean, the text and tell him to lose his number, that I was watching it thinking there's no way this is actually happening, but it was. It's insane how he starts calling out members of the media, and it was nuts.
Unbelievable. I think Kenneth Shep really wants the jersey on draft night. He's donated another 10. The most I've ever gotten in a night is $50.
25
from one person. Kanik is halfway there. I've never gotten a bigger super chat than 50, and Kanik is up to 25. Seattle friend of mine told me Penny is good, but was underused. Do you think that him or Gainwell will get more touches? I personally think Gainwell is more versatile, run, catch capable running back. I totally agree. Here's the deal with Rashard Penny. And if you're on Twitter, you saw a lot of people having a lot of takes on Rashard Penny. When healthy, exactly what Philadelphia needs. Physical, 5'10", 220. He's the beater back who's going to break off a lot of big runs after contact. That's what Philadelphia's needed for a long time. Think LeGarrette Blount, not as tall. I was going to say, yep. But that like same format, right? The problem is injuries. He's had a ton of them, and that's why he cost $2 million. It's pennies on the dollar. And so what they're going to do is they're 100% going to run both of them. They'll use Boston Scott, but I think Gainwell is going to be the guy. I think Gainwell is going to be your number one running back. I think he's RB2 territory on your fantasy football team this coming year. So great question there, Kanik. 10 more entries. Every dollar is an entry into our jersey giveaway each Wednesday night. Every super chat we're going to keep track of. That way on the draft night, we're going to get you a jersey and select somebody. So stay tuned for that. City Family is a member. Give him a couple of entries here for the jersey. We'll give him 2 or 3. Sorry, give him 3. It's what we're doing for members.
So he's up
Appreciate
to 5.
that. City Family up to 5 entries. And again, you can do this next week and get a lot more. 100 entries into this whole thing. It can be crazy. Let's see here. Let's see. Penny's really good running back. If he stays healthy, he's a beast. I totally agree. Do you think they're going to still draft somebody with the 3 running backs they have plus Trey Sermon? I got that question on my show today.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so either. With the draft picks, the way that you have them this year, I know you could try to trade and how he may get extra draft picks, but I don't think so. You could get, like we mentioned, defensive tackle, cornerback, O-line, maybe even linebacker, because your question mark of what you're going to do there. and just solidify some other areas, even maybe late quarterback. I know that Dorian Thompson-Robinson has been a name that potential of, look at and everything there. So I don't know, if you had your normal number of draft picks or even a little extra, I think you'd probably see them draft a running back, but you've got your 3 or 4 solidified. I think that you traded you signed, Rashad Penny to make a potential splash here. Yes, there's the risk on the injury, but I'm with you. I think Kenny G is going to be the number 1 running back. Rashad Penny is going to, let's see how the season starts. I could see a scenario where he starts to take more of the touches in terms of carries, because I love his running style. As we mentioned earlier in the show, 5.7 yards per carry in his career, 6.2 over the last 2 seasons. He's only played 18 games over the past 3 seasons, but if he can stay healthy behind this offensive line, look out. Like, his numbers will be phenomenal, because he's been on, remember, just a very average offensive line at best at Seattle. So if he was able to put up those yards per carry with this offense and the option of Jalen Hurts running a defense that has to account for that, I'm just telling you, who knows? He can have 6 yards a carry, 6.5 yards a carry the entire season. That's dynamite.
Very good point. A very good point. Dank Burrito with the eye emoji. 2 entries for Dank Burrito into our jersey giveaway. That is, hey, listen, you could have 1 entry and still win it. Doesn't mean 100 entries. It's gonna be random. We're putting a random name generator, so I appreciate that. With the eye emoji from Dank Burrito. Everyone's throwing out eye emojis today. Even the commenters are throwing eye emojis out here.
Of course, that was gonna happen. As soon as I mentioned that, it's all right. Here we go. Everybody throw out eye emoji.
City family, he's getting in there. 2 more. Home from the gym, poolside now. Man, you got a pool, City family? Must be nice. I need more super chats to own a pool, man. Do you have a pool, Josh?
7 entries now. I do not, no. Damn. But the parents do. So, you go out there every once in a while, take advantage of that. You have to counts. With the Texas heat.
That counts.
It's, too much.
Very much so counts. Let's see. Why don't you know, bro, you look like a hungover version of Ben Affleck. Is that me or Josh? I think Josh looks more like Ben Affleck than I do.
I would like to know what that is. Yeah, is that me or you?
A hungover version. That's not really
interesting. I don't know.
That's a little rough.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I guess.
I don't know.
What that's going for.
I got the porn star stash, and you're a hungover Ben Affleck. Welcome to our show.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Don't mention Pacheco. Those TikTok boys are full of it. Yeah. Josh, do you have TikTok?
I do not. No.
Okay, good.
I'll be honest. Nope.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, I don't either.
You don't? Okay.
Nope, I don't. I just watch Instagram Reels. It's the same thing, but I don't download the Chinese spyware onto my phone. What happens to Brady?
Can of worms.
Is he coming back or is he done? Brady's done for sure. Eagles should go after Zeke. Okay, we've talked about this before. I love Lord Brunson. His Hurts season hats are great. Had him on the show. He's a big Zeke guy. I'm out on Zeke. I think Zeke's no. I'm out on Zeke. Unless Zeke said, "Yeah, I'll play for the Eagles for $1 million," but he won't. He wants 5, and I don't want to do 5.
Yeah. Let him go to the Brunson, Bucks. Though. I'm with you. There's a couple people, yes, Brunson, who's big on Zeke, but I'm sorry. I think that the writing is on the wall. You've seen it the past couple seasons. I know there's been the argument of maybe he's been injured or just put him behind a better offensive line, but Howie already made his decision. He went with Rashad Penny. At this point, it's over. You're not going to go and get Zeke. You're not going to get Bijan. We talked about that earlier. You're putting your cards on the table, saying this is my backfield. Mm-hmm. These are who our running backs are going to be, and let's see how it turns out. But yeah, I don't think you don't risk. You don't reach for Zeke. Not at this point.
Better do Josh sub, guys. Yeah, subscribe to Josh Davis's show. It's in the description box. He just hit 1,000 subs. Very good. Facebook, TikTok, big scam. Now people are already about TikTok.
There you go.
Edwards was horrible in coverage, but at 160 tackles, Philly has to replace him. We didn't even mention the guys that they've lost. We didn't even get there. And we got, we can go for another 15 minutes here. But yes, 100%. I think TJ Edwards is a big loss. He got a lot of money, though. I mean, he got some pretty good money with the Chicago Bears. And you know how he doesn't care about linebackers. He doesn't care about running backs or linebackers. And so, what are you going to do? I would sign a veteran right now. I would go sign Bobby Wagner, but I'm not Howie Roseman. And let's be real. Howie Roseman's not going to go sign Bobby Wagner. So, what are you going to do?
I say save that money for CJ Gardner-Johnson.
That's fair. Zeke is a diva. Yes, he definitely is that. Josh B. breakdancing. I don't know what that means.
I am the worst dancer ever. So
yeah,
no, that's
I don't think that's
not
Josh.
Happening. Nope.
If Aaron Rodgers does wind up in New York with the Jets, who will be the best quarterback in the NFC? And will the NFC East be the best division in the NFC? Can we look at quarterbacks here? I don't know if I can pull them up. I'm trying to just think of quarterbacks. NFC starting. I want to look at them. Can we find one that's better? I'll tell you, the Saints have definitely gotten better. Okay, let's just be real. The Saints have definitely gotten better. Okay, starting quarterbacks, AFC. Here we go. This should work. Wink. All right. Desmond Ridder. Let's just go through. Okay, Jalen Hurts, obviously. Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Carolina Panthers is going to be a rookie most likely, and so you will say Jalen Hurts. This is probably Anthony Richardson. Justin Fields, you say Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott, LOL. Jared Goff's pretty good. He's top 5 in the NFC right now, but he's not better than Hurts. Rodgers is gone now. That's Jordan Love. Stafford, we forget about Stafford, but that roster is taking a beating with people not having money. Cousins is good, but you would take Hurts over Cousins.
Can't play out once it gets dark.
This is obviously Derek Carr. Carr's probably the number 2 right now. I think Derek Carr's pretty good. Tyrod Taylor. What is this website? Obviously, this is going to go ahead and be Daniel Jones, Hurts, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. The fact they signed Sam Darnold tells you everything you need to know about these two right here. Okay. Because the Kyle Shanahan system gets people injured. Seattle, this is obviously old. It's Geno Smith. Geno Smith was awful second half of the season last year. Kyle Trask / Baker Mayfield for the Bucks. Sam Howell / Jacoby Brissett for the Washington Commanders. Even with rookies, name a quarterback here that's better than Jalen Hurts. You can't. It's not possible.
There's not. Yeah.
There really isn't.
It's a very easy answer right there. That there's absolutely nobody. Jalen is immediately number 1. And you could argue he was number 1 before Rodgers left. I would say that. I think Rodgers is definitely declining. I know he's injured, but I'm sorry. If you're asking me who am I to take, Jalen Hurts or Aaron Rodgers? Jalen Hurts.
I totally agree. Man, no more updates here. Kennedy Galladay releasing the Giants. We already talked about that. Yeah, I don't see any more. Oh, the Niners signed Cleveland Farrell. That's not new. That's a couple hours ago. I mean, Cleveland Farrell's an uber bust. Let's see here. Nope, no more updates. We're trying to find updates. We hardly even talk about the fact that they got Jason Kelce back, which is like 2 weeks ago would be the biggest thing that happened to Philadelphia, right? I mean,
everything else that's happened,
like the biggest thing, and yet we literally haven't even talked about him in an hour and a half long live show. It's crazy. Crazy.
You called it because you were on it whenever we were talking about, New Heights released kind of the what was it, the sneak peek interview with Howie Roseman. And
yes.
They seemed a little bit too excited in that sneak peek, and come to find out, I think that was after he took the massive shot pour that Howie poured Jason. So, and then he even talks about it like, I was definitely amped up afterwards. So the fact that, I mean, for one, kudos to them, I guess, for somehow keeping it under wraps, because these types of things somehow get out. And the fact that they had recorded it 2 weeks prior at the combine, and then no one knew, like, oh, well, I don't know. We'll see. Jason's thinking, he's taking his time and everything else. And then finally came out. But you were saying it was what, two live shows ago? I think he's coming back. I think the signs are there. He's excited. He's talking to Howie. I think they're going to drop the episode, and that's basically what they did. So it wasn't a surprise, but yeah, you're right. It's kind of been hidden underneath all the other drama and everything else that we've seen. But that's huge to have Kelce back, as obviously his numbers and how productive he is, but even more so just the locker room presence. It's phenomenal to get him back.
I totally agree. RJ says, Mott, I think you misunderstood. Zeke needs to be signed to play backup center. Work for the Cowboys, right? Yeah. That's the last play of Zeke's career. Yeah. I feel bad though. Like, Zeke's just doing what he's told. He's like, go play center. And obviously some coach thought it would be a lot better than it turned out to be.
It was like playing backyard football.
Terrible. 2 more for City family here. Thoughts on Sue Joseph or Quinn? Absolutely out on Quinn. And I mean, if Sue and Joseph wanted to come back for pennies on the dollar, sure. But I think Dow can Sue retires, honestly. I'd be surprised. Quinn, no.
Yeah,
Steve Shapiro just said, forget about it. I agree. Not a chance. Not a chance. Also, if you're just joining us, one last chance. We're going to shout this out one last time. If you want a chance to win the first overall draft pick of the Eagles, night 1 of the NFL draft, live on our show, we're going to give away his jersey from Fanatics or NFL Shop. Just drop a super chat. Every dollar you drop is going to be an entry between now and draft night. We still have, a month and a half, or really a little less than a month. Or sorry, a little more than a month until the NFL draft. So we're going to be live every Wednesday. So every Wednesday, you do a super chat that gives you some entries. We've had a bunch of people enter tonight, and we're going to pick somebody live during our live draft show, as we will be doing the Wednesday link, as call it the draft link live show, night 1 of the NFL draft, and probably night 2 as well. So get your super chats in as we're about to wrap up, because I have some work to do. Let's see. With CJ Gardner-Johnson signed, Howie can easily restock this roster with solid talent by next year's draft. Don't panic over the loss of talent that happens. I agree. Once CJ Gardner-Johnson gets signed. you do forget how many draft picks we have next year. And if they hit on 2 draft picks this year, they still have a second round draft pick, which we're not talking about at all, and a third round draft pick.
Sure.
That they have 4 shots, because 7th round draft picks, let's just be real. We love you guys, but sorry.
Yeah.
But 4 shots to seriously do it. Okay. Oh, we have another entry. Kanik Shep, man.
He's up to 35.
He's killing it tonight, man. I appreciate that. We had any weakness in 2022 season, it was special teams. Covey was good as a sure hands punt catcher, but he couldn't return much. Any chances on getting on? Ooh, Thielen. What a great question. 10 more entries there. I appreciate that, Kanik. Okay, so first off, I agree. Punt returner is an issue. I could see them just looking for some undrafted free agent punt returner after the draft, because there's going to be some running back who has a history of returning punts. You bring him in, throw him into the competition. But as you said, Covey was sure-handed. And so not a lot of punt returns are happening in the National Football League, more than 10 or 15 yards. I know that, Kadarius Toney's Super Bowl one kind of digs in hard, but it doesn't happen all the time. And so Covey's fine. He's also dirt cheap. Maybe they mix Devin Allen in there as well. But I do think they're going to try to bring somebody else in to do that. Maybe Boston Scott, obviously re-signed. Who knows? Thielen is someone I have vouched for on my show. I would love Adam Thielen. Darius Slay actually did a tweet recruiting Thielen a couple of days ago. It's just a matter of money. He was due like $16 million and the Vikings couldn't afford it. And so off he goes. Often injured. He's not the same Adam Thielen he was 4 years ago. But you and I would both give a massive thumbs up for wide receiver 3 Adam Thielen eating it across the middle in this offense. It'd be insane.
I think it could be good. The one question, and I'm not necessarily down on it too much, but the one question is that Thielen's always usually been an outside receiver. So if you bring him into the offense, I would be curious to see how he fits. I know there's a lot of versatility with Devontae and with AJ. Like, you can move things around, so you could probably make something work. But it does scare me. I'm probably a little bit more scarred because I had Thielen on my fantasy team this year. So I'll be honest, little bit of not great production, but I think that if you're not asking him to come in and be obviously a 1 or a 2 receiver, you're asking him to come in and be a 3, a couple targets. You've obviously got Goddard who's in there, so it's almost like he's a 4. He could be productive. I think he is the guy that is going to be a veteran. He's no drama. He's going to show up. He's going to do his job. There's not going to be any issues with culture fit or buy-in or anything like that. So I could potentially get behind it. I would still like to look and see potential other options, though. I will say that.
I totally agree. I appreciate the 10, though, Kanik. Last chance to get your super chats in to get entered, as we got 5 minutes left on the show. We got 5 minutes left. Let's see. Davis can't rush the passer. Cox is old. Hargraves is gone. Carter will be a very good fit in Philadelphia. Again, Jalen Carter's got to be, motivated to play football. It didn't seem that way. Waffles, is Tyreek Hill the best wide receiver in the league? If not, who is? You guys are the best. Congrats on 1,000 subs to Josh. Yes, Josh got 1,000 subs. We do very much appreciate you guys subbing there. Who is the best receiver in the league? I think it's Justin Jefferson. I mean, it
has to be. Who else? I mean,
there's a lot of good ones, though. I think AJ Brown is fantastic. Yeah. Devontae Smith is really good. Tyreek Hill is very good. There are some serious receivers in the league. But if you said number 1, I think it's probably going to be Jefferson. I think Diggs is up there as well.
Yeah. I think it's Jefferson. I know Slay. It was interesting because, again, we mentioned this earlier in the show, but he did his top 5 receivers. He said Jefferson out of who he played this season, but he actually said Devontae Adams was still his number 1. Yeah, so I don't know. You do forget about him. He's got Jimmy G throwing to him this year. I don't know. To me, I'm saying Justin Jefferson is number 1, and I think you could take your pick on who number 2 is. There's a lot of other guys.
Someone said Cooper Kupp. Yep. Cooper Kupp had no one throwing to him this year, and that's obviously his issue. What do you guys think of Nakobe Dean being put as a starter now on defense? That's what you drafted him for, right? He was supposed to be the guy. And really, the fact he got to sit for a year is really good news. Looked fantastic in that Titans game. And so we'll see. But I do think there's a very good chance that he is pretty special. I think he's going to be pretty good.
I'm all for it. And another thing too, I can't remember who had tweeted this out, but it's a good point that they made is you're not only giving a guy like Nakobe Dean a chance to play and perform, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. Let's remember his draft interview or his post-draft interview of where he was drafted and what he wants to do in this league. But you're also giving him an opportunity now, and these players who have sat behind the starters to look and see like, hey, you're talking about TJ Edwards, who was an undrafted free agent. And you're also getting a guy like Kazir White of playing up to, or maybe surpassing their potential, and now cashing in for some pretty lucrative deals. And so it's also a statement to these other players to say, like, you could do this, and now it's your time to shine. So I think it's a very big benefit. And I'm excited because you obviously drafted Nakobe Dean where you did, thinking he's going to be a big potential starter and a big playmaker. So now's his time. He could step up. I think he's going to play well. I'm excited to see it.
Kanik Shep continuing to build on his MVP
One
night
more.
here. Let's
Up
just
to
say
40.
that. Killing it, man. Just want to say I'm glad Boston Scott is back. Huge fan of him ever since he showed value for us in 2019. Flag was flag. I agree. And Scott is the ultimate pro. He cost absolutely pennies on the dollar. I mean, it's ridiculous how cheap he is. And yet he has these 5-6 game stretches or 5-6 games a year where he has a touchdown. He makes a big 3rd-and-1 conversion and he kills the Giants. So you can't ask for anything more than that. It's incredible what he's done for the Eagles, truly. And I called him coming back. I thought it was going to be CJ, him, and TJ Edwards. That was my kind of guess. I'm 1 for 3. Or
you're going to be 2 for 3. We're speaking it into existence. Yep. You're going to be 2 for 3.
I'm mad that we didn't sign him during the live show. I really am. I
thought it was going to happen.
I can't believe
I really did.
Tomorrow, though.
Hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. As you say,
tomorrow, though.
Wake up tomorrow morning. Let's do it.
It's going to be like midnight tonight, and we're going to wake up and have to instantly do a show at 6:30 in the morning or something crazy.
Who's it between, by the way? You hear the reports. Is it the Bengals? I think that's who
it
was
has
at
to
least
be, right?
2 days ago.
It's not Atlanta anymore.
No, I think I saw a tweet of saying that the Bears could potentially be interested, but that was the first time I'd seen about it. So I think it's either Philly or Cincy. And I just, you can't get anything from the tweets. I know that, but CJ's flirting with the Eagles players about potentially maybe going to Cincy, and then he deletes the tweets and he tweets about maybe Philly and more deleted tweets. So who knows what's going on, but please, yes, tomorrow we need to get the news.
Okay. Here's one thing. And I listen, I like Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow's great. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think Cincinnati's very fun. He's made that place fun again. Why would you want to go to the AFC? Money is money aside. And this goes to Aaron Rodgers too, going to the Jets. Do you understand what you have to do to get to the Super Bowl? When you go to the AFC, you have to get through Herbert. You have to get through maybe a revitalized Russell Wilson, Sean Payton. You got to get through Burrow. You got to get through Patrick Mahomes. You got to get through all of these. Josh Allen. You have 6 elite quarterbacks in the AFC right now. That doesn't include Russell Wilson. Sorry I threw him in there, but maybe he comes back and is good. I don't know. You have so
Aaron
many
Rodgers
good
and the
quarterbacks.
Jets and all these other. I mean, yeah, and Miami, which
yes.
There's the question of the quarterback situation, but they're signing all these big name free agents now. They're getting these studs. Their defense, if you're a player that wants to win, I can't imagine you look at it and say, oh, the AFC would be a much better option. It has to be the NFC.
It's got to be. I mean, imagine your wild card game. You have to beat Aaron Rodgers. You got to beat Josh Allen. You got to beat Joe Burrow or Mahomes. It's insane.
It's a gauntlet. I don't know that I've ever seen an imbalance in conferences ever in my life. In my 30 years, I've probably only followed it for 22-ish, 23-ish years. But in that amount of time, I don't think I've ever seen the imbalance. Usually, you could say, oh, okay, one conference is a little stronger than the other. But like we went through on the list a second ago, there's no quarterbacks there. And it's a quarterback driven league. There's maybe 2 teams that you could point out and say, yeah, they've got some pieces together there to put up a fight, but it's nothing where you look at it and say, man, we might be just fighting for a playoff spot as compared to the AFC, like you just mentioned. So it's crazy. I think it speaks to maybe another reason why some of the players, hey, let's go back to Philly. Let's take team friendly deals. We got a great shot. Let's run it back. Super Bowl, like we said, 40% chance, according to us. We'll see.
Abe Link says, why would the Bengals pay for CJ Gardner-Johnson when they couldn't pay Jesse Bates? Good point. They valued a position like they would have. They was just paid Bates. That's just my opinion. True, although Bates and them had a little bit of a tiff last season, and so maybe they want to bring in somebody that doesn't hate the organization like I think Bates did. I don't know. Not for sure. My phone has died, so I can't check Twitter one more time, but I'm assuming that nothing is happening. So
I have not seen anything. I've been refreshing every minute. So
just watch. It's gonna, as soon as we hang up, as soon as we end in a minute, it's gonna be CJ Gardner-Johnson's an Eagle, and we're gonna both,
that's all we needed to do.
It's gonna happen. Hey guys, listen, we appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks to getting Josh to 1,000 subs. If you've not subscribed to Josh's show, Philly Special Show, it's fantastic. One of the best Eagle shows out there already, and he's just getting started. Hit the sub button down below in the description box. Subscribe to me as well as we get close to 10,000 subs. And if you guys, again, come back next Wednesday for a chance to put some more entries in for the jersey giveaway. Again, if you're just watching, you're watching it till the end here. Each dollar you give in Super Chats is one entry into a potential winning of basically a raffle, right? You're going to win the Eagles' first-round draft pick, the first-round draft picks jersey from Fanatics. We'll send it to you as we will pick that live on draft night. So subscribe to us, drop Super Chats in the future shows, and stay tuned.
We got 14 people so far, 14 people with entries, all different number of entries, but Canik Shep leading with 40 entries.
There you go. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We have plenty of shows coming up on both of our channels next couple of days and weeks and months, and another live show on Wednesday night. Josh Davis, Philly Special Show. I'm Thomas Mott. It was a lot of fun. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Be sure to check out our shows tomorrow. Peace.